Hey everyone, and welcome to That Pedal Show Viewers, Comments and Questions Live. Dan here.
Mick here, hello. Yeah, the guitar's not plugged in. Never is. That's why it was quiet.
This is a beautiful guitar.
It's a really nice guitar, isn't it?
Gorgeous.
Yeah. I like that guitar. Okay, welcome. Regular viewers, welcome. New viewers, welcome. If you've not been here before, this is Viewers, Comments and Questions, where we take questions about, well, anything really, but we like to focus on the video from the week before if possible, which it never is, so we'll just talk about stuff in general.
Indeed.
And yeah, all good.
All good.
All good, all good. Right, let's see what's going on then.
Some big things happened this week. Sadly, the passing of Mr. Dumble.
Mr. Dumble, yeah, it's come up in the comments a lot. So Howard Alexander Dumble, for those of you who don't know, one of the, if not the preeminent, most important amp modders, one of the, shall we say?
There he is.
There he is. Yeah, we'll show him in a sec. Passed away in the last day or two, I believe. Yeah.
He is with his pooch.
I don't believe he was a young man. He'd been doing stuff since the late 60s. Worked for Mosrite, I think. Worked for Semi Mosley.
Amazing.
Back then. Anyway, yeah, we may reflect on that as the show goes along. Not least that most of my favourite guitar players played Dumbles.
Right.
Pretty much.
Amazing.
Yeah. See you all. Okay. Let's have a quick little roll call then. See who's in this week.
Indeed.
Mute. Yes, we're on mute. Hope you're all doing okay. Blue Monday yesterday, apparently. They all bang on about it. Worst day of the year.
Oh, my goodness. Okay. So, my mother-in-law came in last night and said, oh, there's a blue moon out tonight. And so I don't know if there was a blue moon, and she got that confused with Blue Monday. Because a blue moon happens when the full moon happens twice in a calendar month, which is very rare, happens once every 3 or 4 years.
Right.
Where the term once in a blue moon comes from.
Okay.
Or, unless there happens to be an actual blue moon, where you have things like ash particles in the air that block the red part of the light so that the moon appears to be blue, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I wonder if she just got confused between Blue Monday and Blue Moon.
Well, it could have been a wonderful coincidence.
Could have been.
Yeah.
I have to have a look.
I didn't feel very blue yesterday, did you?
I felt fantastic.
Yeah, me too. So for those of you who didn't feel so good yesterday, and on any day, we hope you feel better.
Yeah.
Right. Greetings from Atlanta, Georgia, says Brent Belts. Sean Mitchum says, what up from Perth, Australia at 1 a.m. Is that early or is that late? I don't know. Hello from Vienna, Austria, says Marcel K. Dustin Thiessen. Morning, lads. Cheers from a blizzardy Winnipeg.
You
Nice.
keep going.
Yeah. I love the Clean Tone Show. Greetings from Forest Grove, Oregon, says Tin Chalmers.
Thank you. Oregon. Got to get there one day. It just seems so beautiful.
Joseph Urbanowski says, is it remotely possible to get a good tone from an 8-inch speaker? Yes.
Sure.
Yeah, it does. It won't sound big and fat and massive and huge like one of Mr. Dumble's creations. But, you know, recorded in a track. What was the speaker in the D key?
Yeah, it was small. Was it a 10-inch?
Don't know. Pretty small. Brian May's amp that he mixed with his AC30.
You put enough 8-inch speakers into a cab,
Yeah.
you get a bass cab.
A 50 by 8 cab.
There you go.
Yeah. And of course, Logic would dictate that it was 25 speakers high and 2 wide.
Indeed,
Yeah.
indeed. Prof Salty says, hello from Kansas City. And Bjorn Lodvalarsen says, good evening from Norway.
Norway.
R.I.P. Alexander Dumble, indeed.
B-side, greetings from Birmingham, Alabama, USA.
Farewell Apollo, happy noon from Canada.
Ah.
Canada, 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 swing better.
Wade Summers, greetings from cold and blustery Southington, Connecticut.
John Channing, hello from Chile, London. How are you all? John, Chile. Chile is the word.
Yeah, it was beautiful this morning.
It's stunning, but I can't walk between two buildings without going. When people first came here with furs and stuff, how do they go outside and go, yeah, this is nice. Let's set camp up here.
If you want to be warm, go out for a walk in the cold. And you'll feel warm for the rest of the day.
Well, we went for a walk in the cold. Still freezing today.
I love it. I love the cold. I love the cold. Hoarfrost this morning and dog walk up the hill, which was just
That was lovely.
flipping magic. Morning, gents, from sunny Yuma, Arizona, says Keith Friedman. The lights, hello from York. I nearly said New York, but York will do that. Watcher, says Johnny Love. Hello from Cleveland, Ohio, says Mike Doctor.
Cleveland. Morning from very cold Twin Falls, Idaho. Keenan Page.
Stanislav Migra says, Dan, playing a 335? What is this? Cheers from Slovakia. Hello, Slovakia. It's my 335.
I've only played this guitar a few times, but every time I pick it up, I turn into that guy.
Says the guy who plays jazz all the flipping time. I think a 325 would really suit you, Dan.
It's a beautiful guitar.
I think it would really be a guitar that you played a lot.
Well, you know I've gone on the waiting list again for Johnny Kincaid to build me a jazz guitar. It might be this, but it is. Every time I play this guitar, I think, oh yeah, there's something really
I
special
love them.
about
I do
that.
think it's probably the ultimate electric guitar after the Telecaster. Reeves Electro Guitar Pedals, Marcus, hello.
Hello, Marcus.
He says, evening girls from frickin' freezing Kettering. Yeah, it's frickin' freezing here as well.
Yeah.
Hello from Albuquerque, says Adam D.
White Rhino, hello from very snowy Winnipeg.
Good to see so many locals in from Northern California, says Magic Man.
Lovely. Bonsoir from Brussels, says Guitar Moog, and hi from sunny New Zealand, Nick Burson. Yes, I can imagine sunny New Zealand.
Sunny New Zealand. On the subject of Brussels, there's a really good series that's just started on the BBC about murder and stuff, which I always enjoy. I
thought there was a Brussels sprouts.
No.
I'm thinking there. No, of course,
it's
murder.
Between Belgium and Ireland, and it's very good. And interestingly, Catherine and I were watching it, and I was saying, she used to be in The Commitments, the main woman in it.
Right.
You remember the film The Commitments?
Yeah.
With Andrew Strong, was that his name?
Don't know. He's a great singer.
Yeah. Who are your influences? And I'm thinking she used to be on so I pulled up the picture of The Commitments, thinking it was the one on the left. And
It was on the right.
it's the one in the middle. So she was in The Commitments, but I was
But
thinking
you're
of
on
the wrong
one.
person.
Oh my word, that's amazing.
Yeah, I forget her name. Anyway, it's good. Anyway, Jack O'Donnell says swoon. I hope that's for us, Jack. Wes Chilton, heyo, gentlemen. Hello from sunny Tucson, Arizona, says M69.
Scott Gaylor says it's sunny and 60 in PBC GM. What's that mean?
PBC GM.
Paolo Balto, Connecticut.
Greater Manchester.
Perfect.
Yeah, there we go. Can you think of any states that are GM? Georgia's GA.
Georgia on my mind.
Someone will pipe in for sure.
Greenwich Village.
Long Island, New York, reporting for duty, says Zoot alors. Okay, I think we need to start answering questions.
Apparently
Daniel.
Marcus Reeves and Robert Keeley are in the comments today.
Ah, Robert, hello.
A different Robert. We caught up with Robert last week, which was
did.
wonderful.
We did.
It's really funny because obviously we haven't travelled for a long time and we really miss all of our international friends. We can't wait to be able to get out there again and just come and hang and we've got some really beautiful people that we're very close to and we miss very much. Robert Keeley being one of them.
Yeah, and it would be nice to get on a plane again. Funnily enough, I've been noticing on my morning walks the jet trails in the sky.
Right.
To quote David Grissom. And, environmental issues notwithstanding, just very glad to see planes flying again and
Lovely.
all of that. And the idea of being able to go places, not least people seeing their families, which is probably the most important part of all of it, being able to connect again with one's loved ones.
Oh, I see.
Right, Cyril Zupan.
Apparently GM is Good Morning.
Oh, I see.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, the morning show. Did you watch that?
Oh, so good.
Isn't that great?
It's so good. I think it's the best thing Jennifer Aniston's ever done, actually. She's
Horrible
brilliant
Bosses,
in it.
I think, is the best thing Jennifer Aniston's ever done.
Yeah, very good.
Cyril Zupan says, I'm going to check in from Slovenia again. Hi. Hey, guys, and congrats for 300k.
Palm Beach County. Thank you very much. We appreciate 300k. We appreciate you appreciating 300k. It's, it's great.
Route 6, we've got from Mizoram, India. Route 6. Wow. Yeah. It's a truly international affair tonight, and we're very pleased about that. So, or this morning, or today, wherever you are in the world.
AB, Michigan, David Boyer, Sacramento. Wonderful. So wonderful.
Couple of thank yous before we get into the questions. One is to BV for always being there for us. BV, thank you so much.
Yeah.
We normally go live on a Monday. Today we're a Tuesday because it was Dan's son's birthday yesterday.
It was. And to everyone that sent Zach a happy birthday, thank you. It really made his day.
Yeah.
I think I almost caught a smile. For
Bless
a
him.
15-year-old lad,
Hey, that's not too
pretty
bad.
good.
That's not too
Pretty
bad.
good. No, yeah. He had a wonderful day. So, yeah, thank you, everyone that sent him a birthday greeting. That was really lovely.
Sorry, despite being very cold outside, it's very warm in here. So thanks to everyone that's been to that pedal shop in the USA.
Yeah.
That pedal shop and bought stuff. It's a new thing that we're doing in the USA, and we're very grateful to everyone who's been there and bought pedals. So thank you.
I like your T-shirt.
Yeah.
Check this out.
We've got a new furs in green and black. Marcus, you inspired this.
I'll take that up. I'm going to put this back on because I'm really cold.
Yeah. Well, you are Australian.
I'm Australian.
Marcus, you inspired this. We saw one of your Reeves Electro T-shirts with green and black like this, and we thought it looked cool, so we did, and all you need is first. Please go to Marcus's store and buy T-shirts as well. Happy days.
Happy days.
Never have enough T-shirts. Right. Let us get into Los Superchate. Where are we? We are here. First in today, I believe, was Carl Longbottom. Carl, thanks so much.
Oh, cheers, Carl.
Really good to hear from you, buddy. Hope you're doing well. He says, evening, gents. What are your thoughts on Firebird pickups? Are they best as a pair or mixed with different types of pickups? Your thoughts are always greatly appreciated.
So I contacted my dear friend before Christmas, Dave, who was in the band with Tin Spirits,
Gregory.
Mr. Dave Gregory, previously of XTC, who has all the Firebirds. And
we're
has
gonna do
all and we're going to do a Firebird show. The Firebird pickup is something extraordinary paired with that guitar.
So, as we've said many times, not the same as a Gibson Mini Humbucker.
No.
Not the same as a P90.
That's a different thing.
Yeah.
They are extraordinary paired with that guitar. And Dave's got them all in the various forms. So
I'm looking forward.
Have a go.
I'm looking forward to that because, admission time, I have never played a proper one in anger.
Seriously.
Yeah, I've played plenty of Firebirds, but I've never cranked one and schwanged in the way that it should be.
I think so. With the
If
live
you can hear
gigs,
the dog barking, that's Rosie.
with the live gigs we used to do in Tin Spirits, I think the Firebird was at least half of the numbers. Dave would have a Firebird, one of several.
Mm.
But at the end of the night, we would play. It's a classic XTC song that'll come to me. But Dave's solo at the end, which would, he'd just build up this incredible solo on the Firebird, and it was something that we always look forward to.
Yeah.
So the tones he got out of that Firebird paired with his old Matchless,
Let's do it.
unbelievable. Yep.
Nice. Punotted Bumhucker says, cheers, mates. I have a 5F to Princeton.
Nice.
Tweed with an 8-inch speaker, and I want to try a dry wet setup with a higher headroom amp. Any tips in which direction I should go?
Well, that's going to be the dry amp. 8-inch speaker. They did an 8-inch speaker.
Yeah. Well,
wow.
5F2 must be a really old one.
Wow, amazing. Yeah, I mean, you compare, if that's your dry amp, you compare anything that's got a bit more headroom with that and use that as a wet amp and you'd be golden.
It's such a specific sound. Small speaker, small box Tweed is such a specific sound. The only thing that you probably wouldn't pair it with is something the same.
Right.
So you could go to something like a Pro Junior, which is, if we go like 8-inch speaker, small box Tweed, what are we talking about there? Mid-range, pushed, boxy. Next step up from there is probably something like a Pro Junior, has some of those characteristics we were talking about, but is bigger. Next step up from there would be a Blues Junior or a, even bigger, a Deluxe Reverb. So again, we get more bass and treble frequencies, more bass response, bigger box, just fill out some of the lows and highs that Princeton's not mainly focused on. Once you start getting above Deluxe Reverb, I think there's such a mismatch in the power of the amps, it would be a weird experience in terms of the kind of headroom characteristics.
Absolutely, but it all depends on how you're using it. So if you look at Phil X's setup, so he's got his 100-watt Phil X Friedman amplifier, and then on top of that he sticks his little Greer. There might be an 8-inch, it might be a 10-inch, I'm not sure, but it's like a 5-watt amp. Yeah. And he says whenever he has a new sound guy, he plays a Friedman and it's just epic. So then he puts the Greer on and it's like, and the sound guy says, well, what are you going to do with that? And he says, well, now mix them together. Yeah. And it's like when those frequencies, are sitting with that massive, it's like, wow.
Well, that's not entirely dissimilar to Brian May and the D key.
There you go.
However, that's not wet dry.
No, it's not wet dry. It's a different thing.
That is biamped, isn't it? That's the equivalent of a biamped thing. It's like this is doing all those frequencies and that's doing all those frequencies.
Sure.
Whereas with wet dry, it's more of a equitable relationship.
You could make a mixture of the two.
Yeah.
So
for sure. I guess try it. Depending on what volume you're running them at, it doesn't really make a difference. But I'd look at something. I would actually go Pro Junior if I had to put my money on the table.
The Pro Junior was what we played at Mike's, right? And plugs into the 4x12.
10-inch, 15 watts.
Oh man, that thing's so epic.
Yeah, it's good. I actually prefer it to the Blues Junior in many respects. Right. But yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Good. Jeremy Watercotter. Huh. Jeremy says, happy Tuesday, gents. Any experience with top hat amps? I just put in an order for a Super Deluxe. This 33-watt Class A amp that can take EL34s, 6L6s or 6V6s. Mm-hmm. That sounds pretty cool.
So a very good friend of mine had an AC15 style amp, top hat amp. Best AC15 style amp I've ever heard.
Oh, wow.
Really extraordinary sounding thing, mega build quality. Yeah, those guys really know what they're doing. So yeah, I'm sure it will be wonderful.
Yeah. Wow. Point to point.
It's all very, very serious amplifiers.
Yeah. I mean, I've never played one personally, but once you're at that level, you're in a very rarefied airspace there.
Yeah, no, it's very, very cool.
Hope you like it, Jeremy. Hope you like it. Jolly Willard. Hello, Jolly.
Hey, Jolly.
He says, Happy New Year, guys. Dan, the Kincaid guitar series was so special. Thank you and Johnny for putting your heart and soul into the project and for the full 5 episodes. Play that beautiful guitar, man.
I do every day. And every time I pick it up, I can't quite believe that I am its custodian.
Have you changed the strings yet?
No. I haven't touched. I just want to play it.
What's on it, do you know?
No idea. Whatever Johnny puts on them. Thing is, it's on the wall in my office, and every morning I walk in and pick it up and I just play a chord, and I can sit there with just an E chord going, this is the most ridiculous thing. Just the experience of playing a really simple, all the harmonics are vibrating through my body going, this is the best way to start the day I could ever think of. It's great. I will change the strings, but I just don't need to at the moment because it's so interesting that the guitar is changing so much day to day at the moment.
Yeah, we should capture some of that. Really.
Yeah, we will. So I'm going to do another in another month or so. I'm going to head back to Johnny, do an update. But it's so funny. The wood is sort of working out what it is now.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's extraordinary. Oh, just wow. But yeah, so the pleasure is all mine. Thank you very much.
Michael Gilberto. Hello, Michael. He says, inspired by Friday's show, I put a compressor between guitar and a gained up amp. Added a lot, including clean feedback, to using the guitar volume to manage the amount of OD. Thank you.
Very good. Very good. Great one.
Nice. Yeah. Rod Clark. Hello, Rod. He says, hello from California. The world lost a true legend yesterday with the passing of Alexander Howard Dumble.
Indeed.
I thought it might be worth a few quid to hear your thoughts about his legacy and influence.
Yep. I guess the Dumble thing, you have a lot more experience than I, because you've played originals.
Yeah.
I've never seen an original.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, a lot of it's quite interesting. So we said at the top of the show, for anyone who doesn't know, Alexander Dumble, I think he liked to be referred to as Alexander, was one of the very early high-end amp modders who became builders in California, and he in the mid-60s, I think he worked for Mosrite Company, and then he branched out on his own, I think is how it went anyway. His amps became super sought after, and he was a real, from everything I have heard from people who knew him, he was a real oddball, but he was a real sweetheart. And his passion and his love for music was deep, was deep. And the kind of players that he ended up working with and ended up playing his amps, I think he had a very, very decent connection with. That's him a long time ago. Great book by Jesse Schwartz called The Dumble Book, which is goes through a lot of the classic amps, lots of nice pictures. Anyway, so users of Dumble amps include people that you will know: Robin Ford, Larry Carlton, Eric Johnson, John Mayer, Lowell George, David Lindley. Many others. Many others.
Many.
Michael Landau. Lots of my favourite guitar players as it goes. And not forgetting Stevie Ray Vaughan. Yeah, there you go.
Amazing.
And I didn't know it at the time, but being such a colossal Stevie Ray fan in my teens, I had no idea he played a Dumble. I mean, I just thought he played a Fender Twin, you know, because the internet didn't exist then. And then later I find out that he plays this amp, the Steel String Singer, and lots of the guitar tones that I really loved down the years are the result of Dumble amplifiers. And so, yeah, he obviously was tuned in a really connected way to guitar players and how they, what I think, because to say the Dumble sound is a little bit misleading, because there were a few different models over the years, and the model that everyone always thinks about is the Overdrive Special. That changed a lot over the years as well.
Yeah.
And then you got the clean ones like the Steel String Singer and the Dumble Land, and
they're different amp to amp, right? He sort of tweaked them for the players.
Yeah.
To a point.
We think so.
Right.
I say we, you know, the world believes that's how it works. I interviewed Michael Landau once, and he said just what a sweet guy he was, you know, just a lovely guy he was. And then you hear other tales that he was an oddball. You know, I've seen some correspondence of how you go about buying an amp, and the flipping letters and the correspondence that went back and forwards between customers and him was astonishing, really. Anyway, I think his mark on the amplifier world is indelible. It's just, and the guitar tone world, and you know, we're all born, we all die. it goes around, and that's how it goes. And he'll go down in history as someone who's made a massive contribution to guitar tone. And I think chiefly, for me anyway, for what it's worth, his legacy is enabling guitar players to express themselves. Because if you think about all those players I just mentioned, none of them sound the same.
No,
They
very
all
true.
sound like them in a massive way.
Yeah.
So, yeah, thanks to him for that, and thanks to all the players who make his amp sound so great. The prices are insane. If you want, if a used one comes up, you know, it's like lottery win money.
Yep.
But that's what you get from rarity.
Indeed.
I was just reading. I think he built in the book anyway. The book says he made less than 30 steel string singers.
Amazing. Yeah.
So, can people copy the circuits? Well, they were gooped, but can modern amp builders look at the amps and rebuild them? Yeah, probably. Are there things out there that sound as good? Yeah, probably. But he's a true artist.
Yeah.
He did what he did and nothing else, and I love that.
Yeah.
He wasn't copying anybody. He had some really different ideas about things. So very, very strongly built cabinets, EV speakers. Bear in mind, it was the late 60s through the 70s and into the 80s where stage volumes were insane. So it was about volume and clarity and all of those things.
Yep.
Anyway, I could talk about all of that for hours.
He did say, just reading that book before, one of the things he said was, a lot of great amp builders out there know about the technicality of all the designs, but it takes something different when you get into the artistry of it. And so he's definitely an artist in that sense. Yeah, amazing.
Yeah. Scott Gaylor says, I was able to play about half a dozen of his amps over the years, always very different, but all were amazing in their own right. Yeah. LA3 Music says, Mr. Dumble also did the Fender Bandmasters that Eric Clapton tours with. He tweaked them to sound like EC, all set at 7. Bjorn Lodvar Larsen says, Two Rock was basically started to make affordable Dumble-style amps. Yeah, I think that's a contraction of it. I think Bill Crinard and Joe Mloganowski in the early days, certainly that was a big part of their inspiration. Things have moved on now, but yeah, absolutely, and lots of other people have sprung up around it. And that's how I ended up at Two Rock. That's why they're my favourite amps, because the players that played Two Rock amps were the ones looking for that sort of strength, fidelity and massiveness in their guitar tone. Not that one sounds like a Dumble, by the way, but anyway. There we go. Todd Lawson, please say something in memory of Alexander Dumble. I hope we've covered that in a very small way. May he rest in peace.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Shatman 2. From the sublime to the ridiculous. Shatman 2 says, why do some people think John Mayer is a great guitarist? I've listened to his albums and I went to a show. It boggles me that he's considered an interesting or skilled guitarist. I don't really know what to say to that, Shatman. If you don't like it, you don't like it.
And that's okay. It's okay
totally
not to like stuff.
Yeah, but to not appreciate that he's not a good guitar player is
hard to imagine.
Hard to imagine.
Yeah.
What you think good guitar playing is if you don't think John Mayer's a good guitar player.
Yeah. I don't listen to Yngwie Malmsteen much, but I know he's amazing.
Yeah. You're not a Mayer fan, are you?
No.
Do you like? But is he a good guitar player?
He's amazing.
Yeah, he is a really, really exceptional guitar player.
Yeah.
It might not be that he. How do we judge what good guitar playing is? I just think he's incredibly musical. I think he's got an excellent touch. His tone is always amazing.
Yeah.
Watch him play Neon on an acoustic and tell me he's not a good guitar player.
Yeah.
Anyway, but we're all, I guess, he does, a bit like Dumble Amps, he does light up comment sections and discussion forums like Relic Guitars, and he's very Marmite. And I do think that in order to be successful, you have to be Marmite.
Sure.
Yeah.
There's a couple of his songs I really like. I love that. It's another one that was it.
Welcome to the real world, you said to me.
Yeah, that one. I thought that's a great song.
Yeah, on Room for Squares, that is.
But there's not a lot of his that I put on and go, yeah, but
yeah.
He's an excellent guitar player.
Yeah, he's an amazing guitar player. Yeah, so, but that's cool. That's cool. We don't all like the same things, do we? Shatman, thanks for your input. Brett Totzi says, greetings from Maryland. First, thanks for helping me to keep the black dog at bay.
I hear you.
We hear you. How would I go wet dry using a one control iguana tail looper? I got gain stages in the first 3 loops, wet effects in the last 2. Is it even possible?
You need a mixer to put those wet effects in and mix them in parallel. It's not impossible, but there's quite a bit of routing and stuff to do. So
can't you do it in the same way that we do with your switchers?
I've got built-in mixers in mine.
No, but if with a G2, for example, we'd have to use one of the loops to do the split.
That's a wet dry thing. You're talking about trails.
No. He's saying wet dry.
I thought it said trails.
No, it's called a iguana tail looper.
Oh, sorry. Yes, in that sense, what you need to do is put a splitter in one of the loops. So you think of the signal path, and you choose all the effects that you want to go to both amplifiers, and then the loop after those effects, you put a splitter in. One side goes back into the looper and the other side goes off to the amplifier that you want to keep what we call dry. So let's say you have your gain tones going to both amplifiers, and then the signal from the splitter that goes back into the looper is then fed back into the wet effects, and then from there that will go into the wet amplifier. Important to be able to isolate the signal that goes to the dry amplifier and flip the phase so that you can get them in, properly in phase.
Yeah,
but that's quite a simple way to do it.
Dan makes a unit called the Humdinger that will do that. In addition to that, you could use any ABY switcher that has ground lift on one of the outputs and phase reversal possibility. If you're at all confused, go back through the video list for that pedal show. Look for anything we've done on wet dry. It's going to take you a few minutes, but call up the video, open up the description, and in the description there'll be a list of timings for things that happen in the video, and somewhere there it'll say diagram on one of those videos, and there will be diagrams in those videos that will highlight that for you. It doesn't matter what type of switcher you use. If it's a single, if it's a loop switching device, the theory is exactly the same. So whether it's one control, one of Dan's ones, a Boss one, or anything else, if it doesn't have parallel split in the unit itself, which most of them don't, you need to do what he just said, add the splitter into one of the loops, which also means that loop has to be on all the time.
Yes.
Good
Very
luck.
good.
Good luck.
Good luck, mate.
Elusive Moose.
Elusive Moose.
About this hoose says, greetings.
It's a goose.
I'd love to see you try 2 Boss OD3s versus a Nobles ODR1. Similar EQ, but I think Mick will find the slightly more focused mid-range in the Boss better for his strats. Pretty please.
Interesting.
Yeah, maybe. I like the Nobles, but it's a great thing, but there's many other overdrive pedals I would choose before it, so
yeah.
I actually, to be fair, what I generally like is 2 ODs stacked, and it doesn't really matter what they are.
Yeah,
as long as one's sort of boosty and one's sort of mid humpy, I can work with that.
Yeah.
So yeah. But I did for many years, Elusive. I did use 2 Yellow Boss overdrives, whatever was available at the time. That was my rig before I really got into pedals.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm with you on the 2 stacked yellow overdrives. Don't know if I ever had 2 OD3s. Definitely had an SD1 and an OD3 and other combinations thereof.
Yeah. SD1 stack's great.
Yeah. Knee ends. Says Chris Waters. The acoustic vlog was so inspiring. What a privilege. Thank you. I'm hunting for a 335. Is a headstock repair a complete no-go for you?
Interesting. I've played some guitars with headstock repairs that were phenomenal.
Yeah, it depends who's done it
Yeah.
and how they've done it and if it feels great and if it looks all right.
Yeah. If you look at, I'm pretty sure that the Gibsons are they're 2-piece headstocks, right?
No, that's why they break. They're single piece
Are they?
and it's quarter sawn, so it's the short grain.
So that's one bit of timber.
Well, I don't know about on lower end Gibsons. It's probably a scarf joint, which is also good because it if you do the cut like that and then you move it over, you get opposing grain,
Right.
and that makes it stronger.
Right.
So I think that's one way to do it.
Right.
But I'm pretty sure custom shop stuff and nicer Gibsons is all a single piece.
Oh yeah. Okay. So
Yeah.
you can see the right.
Yeah, and because it's the
Snappo.
Yeah, as long as it's reflected in price, it sounds all right, feels solid enough, no reason
Yeah.
at all, why not?
It's certainly the idea that a repaired headstock means that the guitar isn't going to sound any good anymore is false, because they can sound great. It just has to be done properly.
Yeah, I mean, if it's an older guitar and it's a good price, yeah, why not? Why not? All depends on the quality of the repair. I rather suspect Carl Longbottom is in the comments now,
Yeah. Tell us what you think, Carl.
offering an opinion. A valuable and worthwhile opinion.
Indeed.
Ran's there. Hello, Ran. He says, "Evening, you heels." Ends of legs. If I own a Mercury 7, do I have an actual reason to get a CXM 1978, except how cool it is? R.I.P. Alexander Howard Double.
Right. So this the Mercury 7 is I've gone back to the Mercury 7 from the CXM.
Splitter!
It's very interesting. I think arguably the CXM for those specific sorts of reverbs may have an edge, but I needed a bit more flexibility with the modulated reverbs and the shimmery stuff, and it's so close in audio quality that I've gone back to the Mercury 7 and I absolutely love it.
CXM is, this is going to sound ridiculous, pretty much the only reverb pedal that I would use, specifically because of the sliders on the top panel.
Yeah.
Because I cannot get my head around multifunction controls, menus, and all of that. And I can see exactly what's going on at any time and I can change it quickly. The presets are a doddle. The MIDI is a doddle. I mean, the only thing, actually not MIDI, the expression control setup is a doddle. And for that reason alone, for pure functionality and UI, I'd choose a CXM every single day of the week, only over every other reverb pedal that has ever existed.
Yeah, but paired to that, it's the best sounding reverb pedal we've ever heard. You know,
But the Mercury 7 is equal, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, I'd say it is, and certainly when you get to the more effecty modulated sounds, it does stuff that the CXM can't do.
Yeah.
But the algorithm is by Meris, and the Meris did the algorithm for the CXM, so they're in the same ballpark.
And we are splitting hairs in the stratosphere here, because as you will have heard on the Clean Show last week, we used the UA Golden Reverb, which is half the price, and that sounds flipping fantastic.
Yep.
Let us say that a TC Hall of Fame too. You know, it's not in the same ultimate league, but for what most of us do most of the time, it is a fantastic sounding reverb pedal.
Yep.
So when we say like it's the best sounding reverb pedal we've ever heard, it's not like
The other ones aren't good.
the other ones aren't good. It's
They're
just
great.
It is on a different level.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a level that is so rarefied and so hair splitty. In the real world, I'm just not sure how much difference it makes to most normal humans, including us.
Yep.
But it's nice to have. It looks beautiful, and I can use it. Therefore, boom.
Yep. Lovely.
Brad Jackson. Hello, D&M. Any thoughts on Nashville style tellies? How much different is the middle position on a traditional telly from the middle pickup in a Nashville?
Let's go to Nashville and find out. I'm so desperate to get to Nashville. I really want to do a country music special with some guys and explore how those classic country tones are created and used. But the Nashville telly, the first time I saw one was in Sydney a long time ago, and it's like a Strat middle pickup between the bridge and the classic neck pickup on a Telecaster. And it gives the 2 and 4 position, more than anything. And it's a cool sound.
Yeah, but if you imagine, well, this is not a Telecaster, obviously, it's a Strat. If you've got these 2 pickups and they're both on, that's what that's doing. If you've got that pickup and it's just on by its own, that's what that's doing there in the middle. So it is a completely different sound.
Yep.
It is radically different. So, yeah, the middle position on a Telecaster, go and listen to something by the Meters, listen to like James Brown funky stuff.
Yeah.
Well, all kinds of music, but that's the one that always jumps out to me, is that it's that middle position funky sound that a telly does is so completely unique. Doesn't sound anything like a middle pickup on another guitar.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yes. Which of course means that even if you wire the switch to do the traditional bridge and neck on a telly, you've got that middle pickup in the middle, which is doing things, even though it's not in the circuit, which will be subtly different than it not being there at all.
Yeah, totally. That's why an Esquire sounds different than a Telecaster.
Yeah. But again, we're splitting hairs. I'm just going to check the status of the super chats.
LA3 Music says, sweet, I'm going to Nashville for my birthday on the 27th of March. Going to check the sites. Yeah, good for you, mate.
I'm going to turn the super chats off so that we make sure that we get through them all. Thank you to anyone who's super chatted so far. Anyone else? No more super chats. Thank you. Anyone who's done it so far, we will answer you. Thank you. There we go. Come on, YouTube. You're going to turn it back on? Sir? No.
No, well done.
Good. Yeah.
No cover charge says the Brent Mason B Bender Telly is the one I want. Yeah. He's such an interesting guitar player. And the combination of like mini humbuckers and stuff that he's got in his guitar, I mean, he makes it sound amazing. I struggle to think of anyone else that would take that format and get those sorts of tones out of it.
Yeah.
He's the most extraordinary guitar player.
Well, you think of the range of stuff that he will have played over the years, being in different bands and on sessions and stuff.
And he wants it all available.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very, very true.
Yeah. Right then. So who have we got next then? We have Duncan Plexico. Hello, Duncan.
Hey, Duncan.
He says, hi, D&M. I've got a Bad Cat Mini SC. Sounds boxy. I replaced the tubes with some NOS and it helped a bit. But besides replacing the speaker, what can I do to make it less boxy? I'm just going to check what a Bad Cat Mini SC is. Mini Cat. EL84, so presumably Class A single-ended, that kind of thing. 10-inch speaker. Yeah. Unfortunately, Duncan, small box 1x10 amps sound boxy. That's what they're for.
Yep.
And by boxy, what are we talking about there? A predominance of lower mid frequencies,
upper mid frequencies as well. It's all it's so mid focused, those things.
Yeah, and which is to say probably an absence of the really low end stuff which makes it sound big and huge, and the real high end stuff which makes it sound sparkly and trebly. You know, that's just the nature of smaller boxes. it should have an open back, so it might be that room position can be your friend. If you put it in a corner of a room, you'll get more bass response, and that may help the bigness of the thing.
Yeah, putting it on the floor, obviously, it will also help. One thing to do is just try that amplifier plugged into some different cabs.
Yeah.
It'll be the biggest telling. I mean, there's the cabinet and the speaker choice is such a massive part of the sound of the amplifier.
Yeah, yeah.
So just plug it into some different cabs, and you'll see that what's coming out of the amp. I mean, they're great.
You'll have done all the obvious stuff already, like, using the controls in every possible combination of position, which will change the EQ response.
I'm not sure of the speaker they have on those either, but the Celestion Gold 10-inch speaker is a fat sounding 10-inch speaker.
He's saying, what can I do without replacing the speaker?
Yeah. But
a graphic EQ might help.
Yep.
If you scoop out some of the kind of everything from 200 to 800, scoop some of that out, boost the bass, boost the treble, that will make it sound slightly less boxy. And of course, we use boxy in a pejorative sense in this case. That's not the point, because once that's in a mix, those are all the frequencies you want, and it'll sound flipping fantastic.
Yep.
And indeed, certainly when it comes to bass frequency, it's all very well sat in here, lovely stereo mics and everything great and loads of bass, but the minute you get it into a mix, you shelve off everything below 50 hertz anyway, and significantly up from there actually to really make it sit in a mix. So it depends what you want it to do. If you want it to sound huge and massive and room filling and all the rest of it, you need a bigger cab and at least a 12-inch speaker, I would say.
Yeah. Just try that though.
Which might be an option. Presumably it's got an extension speaker out on it, so it could be that you could just run an extra cab.
Yeah.
And the bass coupling of two small cabs is
great.
Will be significant.
Yep.
So yeah, good
luck.
luck. Good luck. Adam Loris. Hello, Legends. Hello, Adam.
Hello, Adam.
Happy New Year. Dan, any plans or any way to make a Quartermaster work with stereo? TRS inputs maybe. Thank you so much.
Not currently. I'm thinking about that stuff all the time. Challenging thing at the moment is that some of you may know the world is in a component shortage crisis due to COVID and all the companies basically stopping producing components, stopping mining the silicon to produce components. So what I'm doing at the moment is, having fun, doing loads of development and, working with my engineers and stuff, but there's very little we can do about getting new things out the door until we can start producing stuff. It's very, very tricky. So, yeah, I've been thinking about that for a long time. Had a really interesting conversation with Mr. David Friedman recently about that. He wanted to know some information about some Quartermasters. And it's stuff I've been thinking about for a while, but I dare say there'll be nothing new this year for Quartermasters. Maybe, boy oh boy. Put it this way, there's a component, really simple component that we use in loads of stuff. It went from a 4-week lead time to now I believe it's on a 64-week lead time, and that happened within the space of a month. So, it's tricky. So I dare say, end of next year, maybe there'll be something, but not for a while. Very tricky. Very tricky.
Yeah. Well, Dennis Flock. Happy Tuesday, lads. Just got a Beetronix Royal Jelly. What are your thoughts?
Oh man, Beetronix.
Everything they make is awesome.
There's real artistry and passion that goes into making those things. They just sound flippin' fantastic. Yeah. Really, really wonderful.
Yeah, it's kind of a fuzz and an overdrive in one. Wonderful things. If you ever get the chance, or just Google it, call up a browser and Google it, look at the circuit boards in these things.
So
it is
clever.
Off the scale. And we must say thanks to Beetronix. They sent me and Dan Vespas with our name on. Where's mine?
I think yours is in the box in the office.
Oh, is it?
And I think mine is at home.
I thought I got mine out. I put it up there somewhere.
I saw it in the office before.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Massive thanks to Beetronix for doing that. We need to get them on the show. Incidentally, as a tangent, we were talking today. We've been sent a lot of pedals just recently. Some stuff that we really, really want to get on the show, but we currently don't have a format for like looking at new pedals because we don't really want to do reviews and demos. It's not really the TPS way. So we've been talking. Let us know what you think about this. We've been talking about doing a live show regularly, which is essentially looking at some new pedals that have come out, but with a slight theme to it. So, for example, we've got a bunch of Valve overdrives at the moment. So there's a Blackstar Department 10, there's the Victory Copper, there's the thing that I can never remember the name of, the Kaluna.
Kaluna.
By Valbruch, is it?
Valbruch.
I did remember.
Epic. Well done.
And the idea of just like being able to do new pedals, go through all the shoot, edit, production, like it's insane trying to get a edition of that pedal show out the door. It's so unbelievably labour intensive. We have about 3 new pedals done by the end of the year. So we were thinking of doing it in a live situation.
Yeah.
That way we could take questions from the floor and have it
Show
as
some
a
stuff.
sort of interactive experience. Let us know what you think about that. We'd probably add
Alex
it.
says, yes, do it.
Add it to the. We'd
Josh
add it.
Cornett, that would be fantastic.
Add it to the sort of general output of content, but it would be much easier for us to do it live than it would to shoot and edit, and of course it would be much more fun. So if you're up for that, we are going to try one, and yeah, let us know what you think.
Yeah, great.
Let us know what you think. Hello from Seattle, says Josh M. Have you any experience with Fidelity Guitars out of Cambridge? Thanks for the best show.
No. Oh, here it is.
Oh, thanks, Bebbers. Have you not gone home yet, Bebbers?
No, I'm trying to.
She's riveted to the show.
Let's do a pup date then.
Yeah, I'll put this away
So,
then.
two exciting things. Here's Rosie. Right, Rosie really doesn't like being picked up, but we'll pick her up anyway. Come here, Rose. Come here. Come on. Good girl. Come on.
Hello, baby. Yes, yes. Hello, you.
Let's go and say hello to the camera. Rosie smells a little bit of cow poo.
There she is. There she is.
Say hello to the camera. There's Mummy. Say hello.
She's amazing. She's the most amazing dog.
Off she goes.
No, she wants to come down.
Come on, come on, come on. Can you come up? Come on. Come on. You can do it.
She won't
You can
jump.
do it. Come here, come here. Come on,
She's like, no, Dan.
come on.
Only if you've got pheasants, Dan. Or deer, or anything else I can chase. Hopefully that smells of feces.
Yes, darling. You're beautiful. Beautiful girl. She's
Anyway,
amazing.
so that's Rosie. She's doing great. She's now, how old is she now, Bebbers?
17, 18 months.
Yes, not quite 18 yet, I don't think. 16, 17 months.
Old enough to know better.
Old enough to know better. Anyway, here's the aforementioned Vespa.
It's a very clever pedal. There's some really clever switching options on there, switching different parts of the circuit in. Yeah. I just think they're so creative with their designs and
Unbelievably
yeah,
creative.
really, really
So
wonderful.
we'll get that on the show soon. And we haven't said thanks earlier because a load of pedals came in and they stayed in boxes for ages. It's just terrible that we're not more on it. So anyway, opened it up and I was like, oh my God, look at this, look at this. So yeah, there you go. Cool. Cool. Fidelity Guitars, Nuffield Road, Cambridge. Handcrafted. Oh yeah, they look pretty cool.
Oh, nice.
They look pretty cool. Kind of funky looking double cut things. Yeah, they look really cool. They look really cool. Sort of retro-y. Look like they take some design cues from some of those 50s guitars. Fidelity Guitars, Cambridge in the UK. Very cool. And I also want to mention PJD Guitars. I think it's PJD. Let me just double check that. People in the USA, Japan, Germany, will find this interesting, that there aren't really very many British guitar makers at all.
Right.
There are small volume makers like, one-offs, and there are companies like Filed who make a significant number of acoustic guitarists. There's Loudon in Ireland.
Yep.
Northern Ireland. So there are pockets of, but actual sort of medium volume manufacturing British guitars, there aren't that many. I like PJD. I like what they're doing.
Right.
I think I don't know how many guitars Lee makes, but they look really cool. PJD guitars, check them out. Yeah, but I'd like to go and visit him actually. It's the closest thing we've had to it in recent years was Patrick Eggle many years ago.
Yeah. Feline guitars.
They still exist. Yeah, Jonathan makes a few, but again, it's not
Small
like
numbers.
significant production. Gordon Smith was making quite a few guitars for a while there. Hopefully in the comments you might tell us of some others, but look at America, Fender, Sir, Gibson, etc., etc., etc. Loads and loads and loads of brands.
Yep.
Gordon Smith says Reeves Electro. Yeah, I did mention them. Gary Gaggle says, Mick, is she named after AC/DC or John Mayer with Rosie?
ADDC.
Weirdly enough, is it a Thin Lizzy song or a Gary Moore song called Black Rose?
I don't know.
It's an Irish song. Can't remember. Anyway, I partially had that in my head, and I just looked at her and she was Rosie. She was Rosie. She was Rosie.
Oh, we got Zach from Mythos and Keith from 5 Up World in the chat as well.
Glenn BTU says Chappers? ? Sigh. No need for the sigh, but vast majority of those guitars are made in offshore, so they're made in Korea. Vast majority. I think they were talking about some UK production. It may well be up and running now.
Oh, Jay Manson says, I've always wanted a Manson guitar. Yes, the Manson guitars.
Yeah, Manson, again, small numbers, and again, the big number productions are made offshore.
Bravewood. Have you tried one of those guitars?
Yeah, illicit.
Yeah, yes.
Hardly high numbers.
Yeah, of course. I think a friend of mine's got one and I play one. It's pretty... They're great.
Jake Lee Guitar says Rosalie. No, not the Thin Lizzy song Rosalie. I wasn't thinking of that. I was thinking of... Somebody tell me. It's an Irish word for Black Rose, I think.
Curtis S says Cracklin' Rosie.
No.
Isn't that Cracklin' Rose?
Atkin says Personal Dear. Yeah, Atkin. Alistair makes really great acoustic guitars.
Yeah.
Again, not high volume. Anyway. Black Dog because of Led Zeppelin. Says Moon. No, but I have made that analogy a few times. She is the small black dog that helped with the big black dog.
Yeah.
Anyway, right. Sean Mincham. Hello, Sean. He says, my current rig is a Z-Vez Fuzz Fudge Factory. That's the special edition. ZVEX First Factory, JHS Bender.
Chocolatey, chewy, nudity goodness.
JHS Bender, a Unicorn, Morning Glory, Colour Box, Boss Angry Driver into a Victory VC35 with a Volante in the loop. I want homework. Where to from here? Okay, so you got Fuzz Factory, which is many fuzzes, really great gears.
Many fuzzes.
JHS Bender is a tone bender type.
Yeah, nice.
Has the extra switch, does it?
Yep.
Is it that one?
Yes,
with a different
has
voicing.
Yep. It's great.
Morning Glory, which is the Blues Breaker type overdrive.
Yep.
Colour Box, which is like a preampy thing. Angry Driver, which is Blues Driver and an Angry Charlie. Victory VC35, also got loads of gains. So we're guessing you're not a massive clean tone fan, Sean. Volante in the loop. Where to from here? Right. You don't have any modulation.
No.
You do got a bit in the Volante, but...
Yep. And something like a Bad Bob boost or something that's got a boost that's got a bit of sizzle to it, I think would be a nice addition. But you've got all the gain range.
You've got gain
there.
everywhere. Gain like the yin yang.
Yeah. Nice modulation. And you don't have to go super colourful. You can something like a really nice trem, something just to give it a bit of movement. Actually, I found a video. We're looking at an old video of ours using AC30, and we had a tremolo on that. And it was like, just going back and having a look at some of the old videos, and yeah, man, the tremolo, just a simple tremolo pedal, can be so effective. If you've got your core tone right, man alive, it can be really wonderful thing.
You go subtle with it, or given that you've got stuff like the Fuzz Factory and the Bender, if you're into sort of more angry, aggressive sounds, try the real harsh stuttery. I'd also maybe, again, I'm making assumptions here, but I'd look at a filter.
Yeah.
Check out an envelope filter for like some really aggressive-y.
Can be really fun when you're
sounds.
trying to say something different and a bit more expressive, because it's so reactive to your dynamics when you play, and can be like, look at the way that Guthrie Govan uses envelope filter with those sorts of heavier sounds. Can be fantastic.
And finally, try a reverb in front of one of your overdrive pedals to get that insane, massive, washy, dare I say, shoegazy type tone.
Lots of that on this Friday's show.
There's a lot of that on this Friday's show, yeah. We talk about using reverb in a mix with your band. And there's some fairly extreme examples of that rather than here's a subtle spring. We don't really go there quite so much. George Radcliffe. Hello, George. Mick, your natural compressor segment really shows how a small difference at the fingers can have a huge effect downstream.
Well, round of applause for Mick for that session, because I found that so inspiring and helpful. Really wonderful stuff.
Thank you, mate. I think it's something that we all do without even thinking about it. But then...
I need to think about it more then.
I'll just finish your question, George. I'd love to see more dynamics in context bits with other setups, pedals in future videos. Yeah. As we develop as players, all of that stuff comes entirely natural, and it's why I think a lot of the stuff that we cover on TPS, a lot of the stuff we covered on TPS in the early days, and why a lot of straight pedal demos don't really tell you anything, because, or at least they give you a small part of the picture. If it's a jigsaw, they give you like the middle portion. And you don't see the context of it, because actually the way I play it, and we know this, right? We know this through cliches like the tone is in the fingers and Gilmour will always sound like Gilmour no matter what he plugs into. All that stuff that's just so easy to trip off the tongue. But there's great profundity in the statement, because what we're actually saying is the way one strikes the string at whichever point on the guitar, the rake of the pick, all of those things make a colossal difference. And actually they make way more difference than this tube screamer and that tube screamer.
Yeah.
They make more difference than that. So your voice, if you're interested in developing that as a guitar player, moot point, most of us want to sound like somebody else. That's the thing that we should be working on as much as what overdrive pedal should I buy.
Yeah.
Might sound a bit odd for me and Dan to be saying that, given that this is that pedal show, but that's where we come from, right? That's the reason that we still play guitar after all these years, and why we're sat here on YouTube talking about it, because we've forgotten all that stuff. We do it instinctively, and however this comes out, really great players do it instinctively, i.e. not us, like really great players do it instinctively. And it's why they sound like they sound. So totally agree with you, George. If there's any way, I think as I said in the video, it's really hard to think about it and do it. But if there's other ways that we can think about doing that, we totally should, because I think it was a light bulb moment for a lot of people. Not telling you what you didn't know, reminding you of something that you knew, and giving you a framework in which to work on it.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
It's just to explore that tangent just a tiny bit more. And someone's just said, like Cole Ford has just said, I saw a video of John Mayer playing through something like a Roland Cube. Sounded a lot like Mayer through his pricier amps.
Yeah.
And this is something a lot of people mention. And They do, because it's still them playing, it's still them connecting. The point is, John Mayer doesn't grab a Roland Cube and go on tour. He feels connected through his, through the gear that he wants to use. It's like, he still, it doesn't mean he doesn't sound great through the Roland Cube. He absolutely does. But, Gilmour chooses the gear that David Gilmour uses for a reason, because that's the gear that he feels most connected to.
There's a point there about what are you most concentrated on. Are you concentrated on the biggest 95%, which is what he's just talking about, Gilmour sounding like Gilmour no matter what he plays through, or are you talking about the 5% where he's got the inspiration to play the solo in Shine On, where he plays boo da doo da, or whatever it is he plays, or whatever it is that any other great guitar player plays. That's the point of inspiration, is beyond that.
Yeah, totally.
And so it's a long discussion. Keith from 5 Watt World is on.
Yeah, Keith from 5 Watt World is on.
Hello, Keith. I hope you're doing well.
And Zach is on.
Nice.
Yeah, Zach from Mythos is on as well.
Oh, no way. Hello, guys. Thanks for being here. Chad Sturley says, any thoughts on the PRS Silver Sky SE?
You don't need our thoughts on it.
Yeah,
because everyone else's thoughts is everywhere on it.
I think it looks great. I think it looks like good value for money. I thought the demo video with Maya and Celise, Ariel was on there. Congrats to Ariel for being on there. That's amazing. A real big deal. David Ryan Harris and a couple of others. It's one of the best guitar videos demo videos I've ever seen.
Wow.
Have you seen it? It's an Instagram clip.
Oh, I saw. Is that the clip where John Mayer comes out and goes, right, this is what you need to know, and he does it. Is that clip?
That's the main demo.
That's the main demo. Okay.
In the Instagram clip, there's a 1-minute video on Instagram, which I don't think is on YouTube, where he's there's a track playing and he plays a bit, and then David Ryan Harris plays a bit. Ariel comes on, Celise comes on. There's a couple of other players, and they're all playing over the same track in their own style
with that guitar.
And it's just brilliant. No words required. It's just here they all are. And his demo video is great, actually. It's I like it. It's
Excellent.
Him going, and as you know, I am a John Mayer fan, so I do like it. But it's great. There's no downside to that guitar.
Okay.
I can't see a downside to that guitar. I feel good about it.
Good.
I don't want one. It's not nitrocellulose. Etc. etc.
It's got a funny headstock.
No, I actually quite like the headstock, weirdly enough. But yeah, cool. Flipping cool.
Very good.
Is what I think about it. Sprinkles Hour. Well, that sounds interesting. He says, Dan, can you point me the characteristics for quadra reverb-ish sound like Nick McCabe or Jeff Buckley's rockier live stuff, 90s shoegaze? I don't know what setting to dial in on my Ventris, and there are no presets online.
There's a wonderful the producer that did Jeff Buckley's album goes through how he got those reverb tones. It's on YouTube. If you have a look at that, he goes through in real detail how he managed to get those sounds. And then also, if you have a look at Paul David's video on how he reproduced that as well.
Andy Wallace,
thank you very much. So there's a lot of information out there about how they managed to get those sounds. It's basically, it's two stacked reverbs.
Sounds like a big plate to me.
Yeah, but they're stacked, so you get this. They're fitting into each other. It's so interesting. Just if you've had two reverb pedals, just play with them, stacking into each other. One reason I love having reverb in the amp and then having a reverb pedal as well, and you get the interplay of both of them. But yeah, if you specifically like that sound, go and check out Paul David's and Andy Wallace's video on getting those tones. It's fascinating.
Yeah, I think the Ventris is a dual reverb, isn't it? I think. Is it?
I'm not sure.
Dual reverb pedal.
All right, there you go.
So the Ventress is a dual reverb. So the good news is you're already in the game. And you can set, presumably, 2 reverbs, can you? One would assume... two
Yeah, you would...
completely independent reverb processors, yeah.
There you go.
So you could try... So you want to probably steer away from your classic springs. Look at the bigger plates and a hall.
Yeah.
Start there.
Yep. And you'll be able to do clever things in that, like being series and parallel.
Yeah.
But yeah, the key behind it is 2 reverbs used together to get that sound. It's very, very cool.
And it's a bit of discipline required because obviously the sound just starts to do that. If you want shoegazy sounds, put it before your overdrive and let the reverb tails
Distort.
make the overdrive just take off.
Yeah.
And that's a pretty cool place to be.
Very cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Paul Yolstead or Jolstead. Hello, Paul. He says, I just got my first telly.
Well played, mate.
2007 Nashville Deluxe with a rosewood board. And I want to send you love in appreciation for the joy you exhibit and send.
Oh, bless you. Thank you, mate.
Thanks so much, Paul.
Yeah, enjoy the guitar. You'll love it.
Yeah, nice one. Thank you. The Great Dell. Hello, Dell.
Great Dell.
He says, I spent my Christmas cash on 2 old 80s pedals. Max on 89.
Nice.
Real short and dark. I love it. And an Ibanez PT9. Total revelation. Does anyone want my Badstone? So PT9 is a phaser in the 9 series then, I guess.
Yeah, the Badstone is wonderful. What year is your Badstone?
He's saying...
Hit me up.
He's saying he prefers his PT9, yeah.
I lent...
Oh, man, that looks cool.
Show me.
It's the blue one, I guess.
I lent my Badstone... I lent my Badstone to an artist, and I wanted to get it back, so I bought them. I bought them another one. They've now got 2 of my Badstones. I still haven't been able to get the first one back.
What's a Badstone?
It's
Electroharmonics.
the Electroharmonics phaser.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're really, really great.
Nice. Broussart says, my question regards powering both the Line 6 HFX.
The Stomp?
Minimum requirements 2 amps.
Oh.
And adding pedals on the same board. I want to avoid ending up with 2 mains plugs. I own a generator and a VL ISO 5. Do you have any suggestions?
So what you can do, if you think about any technical stuff like this, you've got a generator, get in touch with support at thegigrid.com. That's the best way to do it. But basically, the distributor can deliver that current, but what you need to make sure is then everything else on that supply is isolated. And then if everything else is isolated, then that is also isolated. So
so you go generator, distributor.
Yep.
One of your distributor outs goes to the HX Stomp.
Exactly.
Or the HX FX, apologies.
Yep.
And the generator does 5 amps, right? So that's enough.
Yep.
And that'll get its 2 amps, no problem. Every other thing that comes off that distributor has to be isolated.
Exactly. And then that'll be isolated from the HX and stuff. But for more details, just, go through the support. But that's the basic idea.
There you go. So you can do it.
You can do it.
Matthew Scheiper says, no question, just thanks for all you do and your inspiration.
Oh, thank you, mate.
Thanks, Matthew. I hope I've pronounced it's either Scheiper or Sheeper. I hope we've pronounced it one way correctly, so thank you. Albus Band, Aaron.
Hey, Aaron.
Howdy, you beautiful leg ends, and happy birthday to Zach.
Ah!
Hope it was great.
We had a great day. We went paintballing on the weekend for his birthday. It was flippin' awesome. I bought a bunch of smoke grenades and stuff, and just telling Nick on the way. The other team, I think they was like semi-pros. They were terrifying. And so there were 4 games and we lost the first 3. And so for the last game, it was Zach and 3 of his mates and myself. And I said, right, and I bought everyone all this extra ammunition, bought a bunch of smoke grenades. As soon as we started, I just flooded the field with smoke and we just all ran forward. It was just so much fun.
Were they all going, no, you can't do that, cheat.
No, it was brilliant. So we won one. Great.
He says, I've got another show on Friday and the TPS attire shall continue. All my love, TPS and Co.
Thank you, buddy.
Cheers, buddy. Thanks for wearing the tees. We had a bit of a meeting today about what we're going to do this year. One thing we're going to do is find a few venues and book some gigs, because both of us are utterly sick of not playing. So appreciate that things are a little bit difficult still with COVID, but we're very hopeful that come the spring things will look a lot better in the UK.
Yep.
And we'll be able to do that. So we feel you, Aaron, on the gigs, and we can't wait to get out there again.
Cannot wait.
I'm sick of not playing. Wes Chilton. Morning, gents. Morning, Wes.
Morning, Wes.
He says, after saving up last year and after much research and hunting for a deal, I finally bought a 76 Marshall 2203.
Wow.
That's a pre-JCM 800 JMP 4-input master volume Marshall, I think. I think it's master volume 76.
Oh, yeah. JCM 800.
I don't think... Well, they weren't called JCM 800s in 76, were they? I think they were the JMPs.
You know what? I had a JMP. There you go. Master JMP. Wow.
Yeah.
So I had a 4-input 50-watt JMP, non-master volume, and they're known as like the last of the great Marshalls, right? And I cannot believe I ended up selling that amplifier a long time ago for a very pitiful amount of money. And to this day, it's a sound that I just can't get from any other amplifier. They are flippin' magic.
Fantastic amp.
Yep. Well done, mate. That's great.
Good on you. Good on you, Wes. I hope you get to use it, because what a flipping fantastic thing that is. There's just something about it, you know. Hindsight is a wonderful thing, and it enables us just to say, like, through the 80s and 90s, we all thought it was getting better. And all the things that came out, you know, when the dual rectifier came out, that was like, oh my God, I think it was 90 or 91, something like that. It was a sea change. It was a paradigm shift in guitar amps. Not that those tones weren't sort of broadly available before, but more that we were now focusing on them. And of course, you know, the great lineage of modded Marshalls, late 70s and onwards. And we think, oh, yeah, you know, and then you listen to an old 100-watt Marshall and you think, wow, this thing sounds clunky and difficult. But you crank them and they sound like nothing else.
Yeah.
They sound like nothing else. Fabulous thing for anyone who's lucky enough to be able to play one. Yep. Congratulations.
Yeah, wonderful, mate. Well done.
Yeah.
Well done.
Tom Robinson. Hello, Tom.
Hey, Tom.
2468 motorway, was that him?
2468. Is that one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Was that Tom Robinson?
Don't know. I'm not thinking of...
Tom Robinson Band.
Oh, okay.
2468 motorway.
Very good. Well done.
Yeah, nice to have you on, Tom. Hey, guys, what's the loudest amp? Nigel's amps go to 11, which, as he says, is one louder than 10, but some Fenders go to 12. So are these the loudest amps, or do you know of some which are even louder?
What's the loudest amp you've ever stood in front of?
I'm just thinking if there's any amps that go to like 20 or 13.
I can make all these amps go to 20.
I'm sure there's been a special editions of something that
Give me a
goes
Sharpie.
that goes to 13. I'm sure there's something that goes to 13 as a
Okay.
joke.
I can make them go to 109 without too much trouble.
But the actual loudest amp I've ever played was probably Two Rock's Silver Sterling Signature.
I will put that Wallace up against any other amp I've ever heard as far as volume is concerned.
It's crazy loud,
It's
isn't it?
ridiculous. It's like rated at 50 watts.
Yeah.
And I don't believe that for a second.
Yeah.
It's, yeah.
My Two Rock is pretty damn loud.
It is.
Is pretty loud. It's louder than a 100-watt Plexi.
Yeah.
Or at least in the amount of power that it can put out, I can't get a plexi any louder because it starts giving up and the cab starts giving up. So if you put a plexi, 100 watt plexi into a 4EV loaded cab, that might be a different story. But yeah, I would suspect something like a Dumble Steel String Singer is probably going to be.
We heard that at NAMM.
Loud. The 2-rock one we did.
The 2-rock one.
Yeah.
And that was like face melting.
Interestingly, a friend of ours, Jake Loosemore's coming in this week. He's coming to help us with a photo shoot for something else we're doing in due course. But he happens to own 2 2-rocks. 2 2-rye.
Nice.
He has a silver sterling signature, the 100 watt version, and a traditional clean. So I'm going to try and find some time with Jake to plug all the 2-rocks in, and for those of you who are interested, and have a listen to the differences between them.
Interesting.
Which I've been looking forward to doing for ages.
Oh, Ian Glencross, Marshall Majors can be loud. Have you ever played a Marshall Major?
Okay, Major, yeah. 200 watts. That's an amp.
Yeah.
That's an amp. That's what Stevie Ray used for his clean sound, I think, before he found the Dumble.
Right. There you go.
Yeah. And I'm sure there are probably other things out there, like 2,000 watt transistor amplifiers that are capable of insane volume, you know. But yeah, actually the reason I got into boogies was because it was the loudest amp you could sort of reasonably buy at the time. So my twins, I had 100 watt twins, and they were just crapping out too much.
Yeah.
And I had heard a Mark III boogie with EV speaker, or was it an EV? I think it was an EV at that point, and just couldn't believe how loud it was for a small amp. And so that's how I got into Boogs. It was the loudest thing you could buy.
Yep. And that's what you were lacking at that stage, wasn't it? You just needed more and more volume.
But also, what I know now that I didn't know then was, you know, the sort of topology of that Fender circuit was that it was crapping out in the bottom end.
Right.
So it was overdriving more, and the speakers couldn't take it.
Sure.
And, you know, probably used in a different way with a bit more knowledge, it would have been plenty loud enough.
Yep.
But gravitated away from that and into Boogie Land, and never really got out until
Boogie Wonderland.
Yeah.
I'd love to see you in Boogie Wonderland.
Yeah.
Giving a bit of... Very good.
Yeah. I didn't know that I've started listening to Greatest Hits Radio.
Okay.
It's owned
That's
by,
the first sign, you know.
It's owned by Bauer Media, who used to own EMAP, and they got into used to be EMAP, and they got into radio in a big way. And it's basically all the people that used to be on Radio 2, more or less, are now on Greatest Hits Radio doing the same show they used to do. Like Simon Mayo does Drive Time, and it's all the same features and all the same gags and all the same rest of it.
Right.
And it's quite entertaining to listen to in a sort of non-challenging, no news kind of way. But they play all the hits from 60s, 70s, 80s and 90s.
Right.
Like the only music I want to listen to.
Right.
Anyway, they play a lot of Phil Collins, obviously. And a couple of things about Phil Collins. What a genius songwriter was that guy.
He certainly was.
And I guess producer and all those things.
I'll go off on a tangent in just a second, but you carry on.
But his drums, man. I do not like the sound of those toms. That's not a tom sound I want to hear. Right. It sounds like a bloke hitting a dustbin in a hangar.
I love his playing, like, you know, the early Genesis stuff, and especially like albums like Lamb Lies Down on Broadway and Selling England by the Pound and stuff. His playing on that's amazing. But I did hear it's about his songwriting. So he did the soundtrack for one of the Disney films.
Buster.
No, one of the Disney films. I can't remember which one, but the
Frozen.
No, but some of the executives there were saying they've never had a musician in that worked harder on the music than Phil Collins. And in the interview, Phil Collins goes, "Well, yeah, I had no idea what I was doing, so I was just there trying to make it work."
Tarzan.
There you go. But they just said he was relentless with the amount of work that he did to get everything right.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah. So,
Well, the song that they were playing at the time was "Easy Lover."
right.
Right.
Oh yeah, that's of its time though.
I think it's a fantastic. Don't get me.
Right.
I'm not being in any way ironic or sarcastic. I genuinely mean it when I say that he was a flipping fantastic songwriter. Anyway, Phil Bailey, who sings the harmony part on it, and part of the lead vocal, I didn't realise he was Earth, Wind and Fire. He was in Earth, Wind and Fire.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I hear that now.
So all of this stuff, anyway, Greatest Hits Radio, I'm a fan, largely because there's no news, and they play Phil Collins.
I didn't know this, but when they did Live Aid,
Yeah.
and Phil Collins played in
Clapton's band, and then he flew to Philadelphia. Yeah.
And you cannot find footage of that anywhere because the guys in Led Zeppelin were so angry at the performance. I think even now they have people full time looking for anyone that uploads that content.
Really?
And they have it taken down.
Do you have that on sort of legally sound basis, Dan?
No, I have it from a drummer.
Because I think it's important to spread rumours about one of the most litigious bands in history, isn't it?
Well, this footage just isn't out there.
Yeah.
It's
Pure conjecture, and it is pure speculation, and it's an opinion that we've read online somewhere.
Indeed.
We're not suggesting for 1 second that it's untrue. It's also being reported in journalistic news reporting sense. Thank you.
But there's a documentary about Live Aid, and all the information's in there.
Right.
But yeah.
Francis Rossi told me a hilarious story about Live Aid,
Right.
which involves things I can't mention publicly.
I've told you my hilarious Francis Rossi story.
Go on then.
I'll have to tell you
Yeah, off camera.
off camera.
Yeah, exactly. Andre Silva says, have you told the Willie Nelson joke yet? No, we haven't. You must remember the Willie Nelson joke.
No.
Oh, God, can we tell it on air? I don't know. What's the worst thing Willie Nelson can say to you after you've just had sex with him?
Oh no. What's that?
I'm not Willie Nelson. Apologies for the rude content. Yeah. Oh, I wasn't saying Phil's not a good drummer, by the way. I was saying I don't like his tom sound. There's two very different things.
Yeah.
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 Absolutely. Right. I think we better move on. David Rustad. Hi, David.
Hi, David.
What's the worst thing, David? No. David says, great clean show, great clean rig, especially heavy water and the Cali stacked. For this sound,
the heavy water.
also consider the JHS Colour Box and eek solid state amps like a JC120 or my Quilter Steel Air. It's interesting. A few people, like about every fourth comment, someone said, no Roland JC. The interesting thing about that is all that stuff that we discussed about that flat, nasty, well, in my world, nasty, it's a pejorative term, flat, direct sound without something that I would personally describe as character is tenfold in solid state amps. That's what you get out of a solid state amp. It's like,
Bang.
And I think a lot of that stuff we discussed about boosts, reverbs, delays, compressors becomes all the more important when you're faced with that. Because in a tube amp, for me anyway, and a nice tube amp with plenty of headroom and like nicely designed, what you get in a tube amp that you don't get in a solid state amp in the same way is, I hate to use the word, bloom in the note. And a folding of frequencies in a way that is just less linear than you get in a transistor amp. And that to me is the magic of tube amps, is you get that happening. But yeah, you're totally right. So many amazing clean sounds down the years delivered by Roland JC amps. We like them. We like the sounds. They're a part of history, but neither of us really enjoy playing them, do we?
No.
Not really.
No.
And it's not, it's not better or worse. It's just,
I had to.
potato.
I was doing a gig on a cruise ship in the 90s in Singapore, and the only amp on board was a JC120, and I had to use that for 2 months. And I got used to it. And you hear players like name, all the players that have
All
used
the
them in
people we
hit-
can't think of now.
Yeah.
Loads of people
Well,
have used them, haven't they?
yeah.
Down the years.
Steve Rothery from Marillion uses one in conjunction with his Marshall.
Well,
And it sounds flippin' amazing.
isn't
but
that
I-
the same for Billy Duffy? Didn't Billy Duffy use them as well, I think?
Right. But for me, having it on its own, trying to get gain tones out of it was really hard work.
And again, all that stuff I'm talking about with, or we were talking about with pick, dynamics and all of that is all the stuff for me that's just flattened off in a solid state amp that just doesn't come over the same way that I've learned to make it come over in a valve amp. So it's not to say it's not there, or I've learned to do it in tube amps because I've only ever played tube amps really. And so there's a familiarity thing. So yeah, for sure. Wonderful, amazing clean tones. But we struggle. We have always struggled with it.
Yep.
And,
And that's okay.
it is okay in the interests of trying to be at least a little bit truthful about what we do. It's an opinion.
Yep.
So, yeah. The Great Dell.
Hey, mate.
The Dell again says, I've been obsessed with Robin Trower recently. Discovered the Fender blender was a big thing for him. Do you know any alternatives? Hot tip for his tone, middle pickup.
Yeah, so the Fender Blender, really interesting, octave style distortion pedal used to great effect by Billy Corgan of the Smashing Pumpkins.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, really, really amazing. Now, I don't know if she's still making pedals, but back in the earlier 2000s, Devi Ever was making really fantastic sounding fuzz circuits based around the Fender Blender. The issue that I had, because I had an original Fender Blender, I ended up getting rid of it. I never used it because I found the bottom end too flubby. What Devi had done was managed to contain that, just make it a bit more, just tighten up the bottom end a bit more. But she totally nailed that octave fuzz thing that the Fender Blender had.
68 off the back of the wave of fuzz pedals, unique blend of fuzz and octave.
Yeah.
This is from Vintage Guitar Magazine. 1974, Robin Trower. Listen to Two Rolling Stoned by Robin Trower, and apparently it's the final solo is the Fender Blender if you want to call it up and listen to it.
Really, really, really great sounding pedal.
Yeah. There's plenty of octave fuzzes out there, but I don't know what it does that's different from any other octave fuzz. I can't remember hearing one. I'll have to have listened to it.
It's a fuzz with octave in it.
Right.
So
is it, let's say something like the Octavia then is very sort of unpredictable and right up there.
Yeah, no, it's like a silicon fuzz. Imagine a really nasty sounding big muff with loads of octave in it.
Great.
Yeah. It's really cool.
But not as crazy as something like Beetronix Octahive.
No, doesn't have that. You might be able to dial that in, but it's not. A typical. You think Billy Corgan's massive.
Yeah.
Sound, but it has all those octave harmonics in there.
Okay.
That's a big part of that.
Nice.
Yeah, really cool.
Very nice, Del. Hope you enjoy that. Gary Varner. Hello, Toes.
Very good.
What fuzz face mini would you recommend to go with my Jazzmaster and AC15? Any big country fans at TPS? Thanks for all your channel means to us. Do you mean big country Stuart Adamson big country, or do you mean big country fans, so fans of country music in a big way? Is it Stuart Adamson? Was that his name? Yes. The late Stuart Adamson, big country. A Scottish band, or at least he was Scottish, I believe. Weirdly, I used to go to a place for a carvery with my dad.
Right.
That was a bit obsessed with Stuart Anderson and had pictures of him everywhere. I don't know whether they had a connection with him or what, or someone's relative. I wouldn't say I'm a fan. Are you a fan, Dan?
I love the song Big Country. It's great. Yeah, I don't know any of the other stuff, but that song's amazing.
It's such an interesting era of music that I think as a massive generalisation, I tuned out because I was into blues and I didn't like pop music. But when you listen to that era of music, the songwriting sits in this really, I think, fascinating,
Some of it does, absolutely.
evolutionary place.
Yeah.
It's definitely post-Beatles
Yeah.
because they, I don't know, again, this is conjecture. A lot of the pop bands of the day had rejected rock in a way because it was all about, it was all about that, and not everyone was really into that. And I don't want to lump them all into the same boat, but people like Cyndi Lauper, the late end of Shaka Khan, Madonna, all the big pop acts of the days, you listen to them and it's all chromatic, inky, chord changes.
Yeah.
Very, very post-Beatles classic songwriting.
With some amazing performances as well.
Yeah. And to me, that type of music sort of stopped there. It was resurrected a little bit with, I don't know, some of the boy bands later on in a very pop way. But in a sort of mainstream, middle-of-the-road pop way, it was such an important part. And I think, to finish the point, one of the reasons I turned away from it, even though I was a teenager at the time, so, didn't arse and elbow interchangeable at that point. The production, again, I didn't know, but gated snares, reverse reverbs on everything, loads and loads of plate reverb, Boss dimension on everything made it sound like shiny and nasty, and what I would have considered then as horrible compared to proper real music.
Right.
Again, with the benefit of hindsight, was masking, to me anyway, this extraordinary songwriting.
Sure.
Which I can now appreciate later on.
Yeah.
So, sorry, a bit of a tangent, but
because they were
pushing to the bands of that era.
Pushing that production side of things forward, but at the same time, they were pushing forward, they were being, I mean, there's always been super creative elements. You go back to, like Trout Mask Replica and artists that would sound performance artists and things like that. There's always been pushing that side of things forward, but in a look at Steely Dan, for example.
Yeah,
they had hit records.
Yeah,
and people who are creative and artistic and challenging with their songwriting, that just don't. There's that commercial success really.
Yeah, that doesn't exist anymore. Does it? Not in that way. The technology now, because of being online and stuff, you can find an audience for that stuff for anything now. But if you think about mainstream popularity, a band like Steely Dan today there's just no way. But yeah, there's no single route to market anymore. That's a big reason of why those bands were successful, was because the record company said, "Here's the funnel to the customer. We're gonna pour this down the funnel."
Yeah,
because it was make the music.
Of course,
record stores get it, punters buy it,
and there were people in that industry that would take a chance and were brave, and you say, I believe in these guys, and let's see what happens. Whereas for the massive mainstream popularity now, it is so unbelievably safe.
Yeah.
And that's cool because
it's safe in terms of songwriting, but it is genius in terms of production.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And if you didn't mean big country Stuart Adamson and you meant big country fans, quite a few comments coming through on country music in general. Quite a few people, including David Michelle saying, "Old country, yes. New country is garbage." I think that's a sentiment echoed by a lot of people. I think there are some real jewels in new country music.
There is some real jewels.
And it is changing. So that kind of post-90s, what Garth Brooks essentially started, I think is what a lot of people see as the schmaltzy country radio. Incidentally, if me talking about classic greatest hits radio seems unusual to anyone in the United States, we don't have radio here. We have the BBC, which... Six Music aside, the main BBC stations are, so dusty. It's so unbelievably dusty in old Britishness it's, you know, anyway, even Radio 1 feels dusty to me.
Sure.
The idea of like a hits station playing hits is a relatively new thing in this country. It does exist now. We've got digital radio, and of course internet radio. But before that, broadcast radio didn't exist in the UK in the way that it did in the United States. So that might put some context on that comment. Country, what was I listening to yesterday? Jonestown Revival, new record.
Wow.
There's a song on there called Moving Man. Oh my God, I just can't stop playing it.
Wow.
And that's in no way new country, but it is kind of country, soul-y,
Yeah.
Americana-y.
Well, that was when I heard Southeastern,
Yeah,
and that just
Jason Isbell.
blew my mind.
Yeah.
And I remember driving home, and I hadn't had this experience for a long time, but the first time I heard Elephant,
Yeah,
normally if a really powerful song, I'd have to hear it a couple of times. First time I heard that song driving home in the car, I was in tears.
yeah.
Just absolutely,
Yeah, powerful stuff.
yeah.
There's plenty of great music out there.
There really is.
But yeah, another song about my 4x4 and drinking beer and having fun on the weekends. It's not really my thing either, for what it's worth.
Sure.
That ain't no Hank Williams song, as the saying goes. Hello, Toes. I know we've had you, Gary. He says, what Fuzz Face Mini would you recommend to go with my Jazzmaster, was the question.
Oh, okay. The silicon one.
Yeah, the silicon one's good. Funnily enough, watch the video with George Trips and the dude who now works at Universal Audio, who used to be at Voodoo Lab. Him. Come on, help me.
Bill Murray.
No. The Santiago. James Santiago.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
There's a great video with George Trips, and they compare the three minis and just talk you through them. So the red one, the germanium one, woolly, the woolliest, thickest, warmest, fattest. The silicon one is the kind of is essentially the other end of that. A little bit spittier, a little bit more aggressive, etc. And the Hendrix one is like that, but with slightly less gain and a bit more mid-range boost. That is and remains my favourite one. Actually, I really, really love the Band of Gypsies one as well.
You're right.
Yeah. Get that one.
Yeah.
There you
Very
go.
good. Very good.
There you go.
James Santiago, right?
Yeah.
He's the most amazing guitar player.
He's a very good guitar player.
Yeah, he's really lovely.
Got some ears on him.
Yep.
Peter Campbell, in Friday's video, you plugged the Maiden, Kingsley Maiden D, into the FX return of a Hot Rod Deluxe. The Maiden is awesome, but it's also quite dear, as in expensive. Could you suggest a few more budget-friendly alternatives to do the job the Maiden was doing?
Why is this so hard?
Not really.
Yeah. This.
The Maiden is really great because it is essentially an amplifier preamp channel. And to do that...
In all of its glory, like with all the valve preamp stages, the proper tone stack, all that sort of stuff. I'm not sure if it's got I wonder if it's got the cathode follower in that.
Don't know.
But it's got like the amount of work that goes into getting that preamp to sound that way.
Yeah.
Honestly.
And it's valve, obviously.
Yeah. I'm surprised it doesn't cost twice the amount it does.
Exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah.
It should be double the price for the amount of work that goes in and the way it's made. So what else would we suggest that works quite well? Are there other valve pre's out there? There's plenty of valve overdrive pedals, but they might not necessarily hit the effects return in the same way.
Leclean. So
by two notes.
The Leclean preamp.
Never heard it.
Yeah, I've done a couple of rigs with them, and they do sound really good.
Okay.
But I will say, I think the Maiden sits in a class by itself.
Yeah.
Most people...
I mean, just to put that in perspective, right? If you look at recording gear, If you were to look at a valve pre in a, I don't know, 500 series rack or a rack mount unit, it's going to be £1,000,
Yeah.
or certainly up there. I mean,
Yeah.
you can buy less expensive brands with lesser audio quality, but from a half decent brand making really good sort of studio level stuff, that stuff is really expensive to get the noise floor low, the sort of depth of tone, the enough power supply in there to give it loads of headroom. Stuff like, people talk very, very in positive terms about the Moa preamp series stuff and say they get great results from it. You might want to check those out. Dan and I, just not the same thing at all compared to the Maiden. Victory make pretty decent valve pre's, but again, they're a lot of money. It's a really tough one, you know?
It's really tough.
It's a really tough one. I don't know if anyone's come in with some suggestions. Fred Amp says Korean Yukt makes amazing tube pedal preamps. That's Fred Amp. Edward John says, I've got a Maiden on the way from Canada right now. The missus thinks I'm expecting a tonal equivalent of the second coming, given the daily excitement and the small shrine space waiting on my board. Nice one, Edward. Effectrode, Personal Dear says Effectrode. Yeah, Phil makes really nice pre's. Again, they're comparable in price.
Yeah,
So
yeah. And Phil stuff is amazing. I just thought I'd show you this. So this is the page, right? It's a 3-knob preamp, so it's not even as complicated as the Maiden.
yeah.
But I just want to show you, when you say it's really expensive, I just want to show you this. Just look. Let me see if I can. The amount of work that goes into creating.
Yeah, I mean, any
It's all done by hand. It's extraordinary.
there may be those of you out there who are skilled enough to make this kind of thing and look at that and say, well, it's nothing special.
Oh, sorry, that's very special.
That's an opinion. To make it consistently, sell it, make a business out of it, make people happy, that is a whole other side to the exceptional design and build quality that goes into that stuff.
It's really, really
Yeah.
exceptional.
We like them. We think they sound great.
Yeah. And go and have a listen to Dan's Lost Masterclass with Simon Jarrett,
Yeah.
and have a listen to him play guitar. It's like,
Yeah. No doubt there are other things out there that would be quite cool, but again, for the price, if you don't like it, you'll get back what you paid for it if you want to sell it again. Failing that, something like the Moa series of pre's, not in the same league, but will provide you with a similar sort of job. I'm just not sure that that's any improvement on plugging straight in the front of the HRD with a decent EQ pedal.
yeah, because
Personally speaking.
EQ in the loop, maybe. Just plug in the front. But,
Keys Toft says, if you play your country records backwards, you get your job, your car, and your lady back. Thanks. I'm here all week. Thanks, Keys.
that's very good.
Just seeing if anyone else has got some other suggestions. Sansamp GT2 says Jay Collins. Yeah,
Sansamp stuff. Very good idea.
Bunch of products that solid state based or transistor based. Not valve, but yeah, can do some really good preampy things. Again, I'm not sure it's any benefit over just plugging straight in the front of the Hot Rod Deluxe with an ICQ pedal.
It's a nice screwdriver.
Yeah, Mesa V Twin says Peter Jessup. It's a nice shout. I don't know what the clean capabilities of the V Twin was, but that was a nice. That was a nice. Was pretty good. Right. G Barge is wading in with how good the Kingsley stuff is. He wants to shout out again for the Jester. Extraordinary. Simon does make really nice stuff. Yeah,
He does. Big fans.
right. Dan Damshen says, "Hey guys, thank you for being an inspiration this last couple of years. I'm currently doing wet dry with an AC30 and a JCM 800.
Hello.
Yes, you are. I'm trying to downsize. No! What amps would you recommend to pair with a limited edition Princeton Reverb?
The limited edition print, is that 10-inch?
Probably a 12 if it's a limited edition,
Yes.
but might not be.
So I've... Pair it with your AC30. You've got it there already. I pair my J20, which is a deluxe, with my Matchless. Best guitar sound I've ever had. I love... I'm sort of running it a bit differently. I'm getting a lot of the gain from the J20 and getting the most of the, all the wet effects and lots of the drives going to the Matchless separately. But I think a tweed style amplifier paired with an AC style amplifier, I think it's a match made in heaven. And those frequencies, you don't get a lot of, because you get the coupling of the amplifiers that gives you depth, but you don't get that low sub that gets lost in a lot of mixes. I remember being in the studio when I was there with Biffy Clyro, and I had the AC30 and the J20 together, and we had a bunch of different amplifiers and everything sounded great. But when those things came on together, there's something really special.
It's more than the sum of its parts.
It really is. It really is. So I'd try it with your AC30.
Yeah,
Great.
That's a really good shout, actually. It depends what you're using your previous two amps to do. Like, if they're both running fairly clean and you're driving everything with pedals, then alongside the Princeton, if you're not doing much overdrive, then it could be pretty much anything. Could be a Hot Rod Deluxe, could be a Deluxe Reverb, could be your AC30.
Yeah.
So it might be that you've only got to change one of the amps. If you're using them to drive, then that's a different thing. And the character of those amps is so unique and so individual. Maybe an AC15.
Yeah, AC15 would be a good shout. But, it's really cool. The Vox style amplifier. But if you're doing a smaller gig, you've got the Tweed and the AC30. You're doing a bigger gig, you've got the AC30 and the Marshall.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Fantastic. I'm quite excited for you.
Yeah. Good luck, Dan. And so I stopped. Tony. Hello, Tony. He says, Simplifier Deluxe, Audient ID14 and Bear Dynamic 770s arrived via in-video link. Anderson's purchase. Creative juice is about to explode. Bring it on. Nice.
Very nice.
We've got one of those Audient things. We need to plug it in and have a listen. Yeah, cool. I hope you enjoy that, Tony. Silent Observer. Ever thought about doing a video about the Bass 6?
Ah, yes. So any of the Beatles fans would have noticed that the Bass 6 was used quite a lot in those sessions.
Yeah.
I played one when I was doing a rig for Graham
Coxon?
Graham Coxon, and he had this amazing Bass 6 in the corner. I said, I'd never seen one before. I said, what's that? He goes, check this out. Oh, man alive. What a great thing. Remarkable guitars.
Yeah, it's a very different thing. I've tried to play one and got completely lost because I don't know whether it's a bass or a guitar. It's not like a baritone guitar. It's quite different from that.
Yeah.
And I guess so. I guess we should try. I always think of Jet Harris when I think of those things.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really cool
Very
watching the Get Back documentary. If you haven't watched that, about the Beatles making that record, Let It Be. It was so interesting how 1 minute, George might be playing it, and then John might be playing it, and then Paul might be playing it, and they're sort of swapping around instruments all the time.
Yeah, it's lovely.
Doing stuff. It's a fascinating process, actually, watching them work. Frustrating, but fascinating.
So this picture with a John Lennon quote that said, and there's a picture of Yoko doing her freak out, and John Lennon said, "Love isn't blind, meets death. That's really funny. But I thought she was great in that movie. It was I came away with a very different. I think we all through the folklore and the mythology surrounding those guys, seeing John so engaged and energetic and happy is like, oh man, imagine being in a band with that guy.
How polite they all were.
Oh, it was lovely.
How very sort of British. And
yeah, it's lovely.
everything was, nothing was...
George was like, I think I'm going to quit the band now. Like, there was no fights and nothing was thrown. It's like, I think I'm going to quit the band now.
Morning, guys. I'm back in the band. Yeah. It's... I didn't think George and Ringo came off that well, actually.
I loved Ringo.
Ringo comes off as the sort of guy who's there to play the drums.
But the thing about Ringo was he was always there. As soon as someone started playing something, Ringo was right on it. It's like
the lukewarm water.
He was in between, like lukewarm
fire
water.
and ice. But
I loved him.
I mean,
George seemed a bit grumpy.
The assumption is that the Beatles was the John and Paul show, and that's what the documentary sort of bears out. George just seems totally grumpy throughout the whole thing.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that was because he was misrepresented or whether he was just totally grumpy. I mean, he was grumpy. He quit the band.
Sure. But the Ringo thing for me, if you think about those iconic drum parts that those songs had.
Yeah.
And he came up with those on the fly. And I think...
Yeah, I'm not saying he's not a fantastic drummer and an important member of the Beatles.
I just loved how he was so... As soon as there was an ounce of creativity, he was there
to
and engaged. And when John started doing the Get Back riff and started singing it, and then Ringo's there going, Get Back, sort of singing along with him, it really brought joy to my heart watching that.
Yeah, I haven't watched part 3 yet. I'm fighting my way through part 2.
Right.
It's just like, oh, come on, I need this a bit quicker.
But seeing George on a Telecaster, it's like, yeah. Sunshine.
It's so funny. You could, again, just to reflect on this briefly, what I'm getting from it is you've got McCartney and Lennon there, these two
titans,
unbridled creative geniuses, clearly wearing their influence and clearly channeling their influence, but not being contained by it.
Right.
So always going beyond and always doing their own thing. And incidentally, how much does Ariel Posen look like Paul McCartney in that?
Right. Yes. Right.
Absolutely bonkers.
Yeah.
But then what I see in George, and maybe this is why I feel a bit uncomfortable with it, is I see frustrated guitar player in George.
Okay.
Because he's got the wah-wah. He's listening to Clapton with the wah-wah and he's got it there and he's trying to get it in and Paul McCartney's going, no way, mate. It just sounds a bit cheesy. And then he's doing all these things and he's obviously still totally hooked on Chet. And he's
of course.
He's obviously in this world where Hendrix has appeared and Clapton's one of his best mates. And I can just see frustrated
and
guitar
he's in the
player
biggest band in the world. And it's like, where do I fit in here?
Trying to sit in the biggest song band in the world.
Man, that's really
of all time
interesting.
ever. And I think maybe I feel a bit uncomfortable with it because I'm not for 2 seconds comparing myself with anyone in the Beatles. So please don't misunderstand me. But that's exactly how I feel as a guitar player.
Yeah.
I'm always trying to be somebody else. And I just sort of felt like that's what George was doing.
I think there were some big questions going on in George's life at the moment. Think about at that point what the Beatles had been through.
Yes. Yes. And of course he was going through that big spiritual change in his life, wasn't he? I think he was probably a bit like John was, questioning what was important in his life and what mattered. And how, I mean, you literally stood on top of the entertainment world for that long.
Right.
I just can't imagine what that must do to somebody's brain.
Yeah.
Yep. Anyway, it's fast. If you haven't watched it, watch it. It's totally fascinating, if only for the guitar history. Rocky's in there too.
Rocky is in there.
The blue Strat, which wasn't blue anymore. Anyway, sorry. Yes. Hudson Broadcaster 18 volts as a preamp, says Peter Jessup. Yes, we thought it sounded pretty good. The only the thing I would say about that is it doesn't have extensive EQ control, which you might want as a preamp. So if you love the sound of the broadcast Ace, it'll sound totally cool. If you want more extensive EQ control, slightly more problematic. But yeah, it does work nicely. Make sure we haven't missed anything. Yeah, lots of people coming in to defend George here, saying about Paul was very jealous of his songs and didn't see George's capabilities. George was a jump ahead of the band. Yeah, maybe, I don't know, whatever.
Yeah, regardless, the most influential band in history, and it was a fascinating insight into just that snapshot in time of what was going on. I'm really grateful to Peter Jackson for putting it all together. And
Charles 75N makes a good point. He says George was really coming into his own as a songwriter. His ideas were not always given proper consideration by Paul and John, hence the frustration. Yeah, I think that puts it very well indeed, Charles. I think that's what comes across. There's also some references to the various drugs that were being used at the time by various members of the Beatles, and I think I'm seeing that a lot as well.
Yeah.
So
Paul was 26 then.
Yeah.
Matt Gilbert's coming to say. Yeah.
Peter Jessup, seems to me Paul was desperate to keep the band together. Yeah, I mean, his work ethic was off the charts.
I think they were all... See, it's a different environment back then, wasn't it? Because they all had to go in. They had limited amount of tracks. They all had to record. They had to get the take that felt right. And they could be recording all day. And, they had to... For every take... They had to go, right, this is it, this is going to be the one, and G themselves up. I do think the work ethic back then was arguably not better, but different.
Yeah.
They were all working musicians. They were used to doing long days. And
they were. But see, I'm watching it now. Again, just to be clear, I'm not comparing what we do to the most successful band of all time ever. The most important pop songwriters of all time ever, I'll say, I think, probably. When I watch their work rate compared to what we have to achieve for 10p, I'm pulling my hair out going, come on, guys. I think you could get 8 times the amount of this work, 8 times the amount of work done. However, you're like, what are you doing? What are you doing? You're just mucking about. What's she doing lying there? And then Get Back comes out.
Yeah.
Or Across the Universe or whatever it is. And it's like, okay, that's how it works.
Yeah.
You need to create the environment for it to happen.
That's it.
Rather than be just focused on we need...
X songs and this is, It
needs to happen at this rate, like most modern corporations will work. And that to me was fascinating. They're mucking about. They're not doing anything. It sounds awful. And then Get Back happens.
Yep. Wonderful.
Happy days. Anyway.
That they caught the genesis of that song.
Yeah.
Oh, flipping fascinating. Anyway.
Yep. Anyway, right, let's move along. Thank you for all your comments on all of that. G. Barge says, ever noticed how YouTube comments is not the best place to discuss the Beatles? Or anything, G, or anything, let's be honest.
Henning Pauley's jumped in.
Guten Tag.
Hope you're well, buddy.
Nice to hear from you, Henning. Haven't seen you in ages or spoken to you, but we hope you're doing great.
I talked to Henning 6 months ago or something.
Yeah?
Yeah. Gave him a chat.
Nice.
Said, hey! Yeah.
If you've never seen our Testing Tonewood with Henning Pauley video...
Best video we've ever done. We filmed that. And Henning just said, I really was keen to get you guys out to this. And this is not what I had in mind.
Hishram Amrani, hello. He says, cheers and howdy from Dallas, Texas. Nice. Huge mega thanks for a seemingly endless source of information, inspiration and education. I bought my first tube amp, a Vox AC15, and I am loving it. Please keep being awesome. Hisham.
Cheers,
Thank you,
mate.
Hisham.
It's a wonderful amp to start with. Well done.
KJ Photo, happy birthday. He says, my birthday present to myself today is the day off.
Nice.
Play with my new Strat and hang with the TPS crowd. Cheers from the Big
Oh,
Apple.
happy birthday, mate.
Thank you, KJ.
Yeah, hope it's awesome.
Have a great day.
Yeah. What a lovely birthday present yourself just to sit home and play guitar.
Have the day off.
Yeah.
Have the day off.
How nice.
I have a little ritual when I can take the day off on my birthday. I go somewhere and I eat steak and eggs.
On your birthday, steak and eggs.
With a Bloody Mary.
I like that.
I like it. By myself, obviously. Jet Wash Mist. Huh, yeah, I know that. Jet Wash Mist. Afternoon, gents. What, if anything, was unique about the Mayer Fender Big Dipper pickups? Any current, more readily available alternatives stay warm?
Over to you.
I don't actually know.
Grey bottoms?
Well,
Based on grey bottoms?
I don't think they are grey bottoms. But
Grey bottom
I think
girls,
they're-
you make the rockin' roll.
I think they're based on grey bottoms, as you say.
Right.
I can't see. Come on, leave the light.
There it is.
Right. John Mayer Signature Stratocaster.
Nice.
John Mayer Signature Strat has something called John Mayer Big Dipper Pickups.
Hey, Big Dipper.
I'm going to keep my eye on the comments here because I can't be sure that what I'm about to tell you is true, as of most of TPS.
What did that pedal show?
One of John's favourite guitars was his SRV Signature Strat.
Oh, wow. I love that guitar.
And fans of Fender Strats will know that the SRV Strat had something called Texas Special pickups in. Texas Specials were what they thought sounded a bit like Stevie Ray's pickups, which is kind of hilarious because they weren't anything like Stevie Ray's pickups. One thing they did have was plain enamel coated wire. And if you look at a Strat pickup, if it looks kind of coppery colour, that's probably Formvar wire. And if it looks like a red colour, that's the plain enamel wire.
Right.
And as far as I'm aware, the Texas Specials have the plain enamel wire. Now, it's not all about that, right? It's about the whole construction of the pickup. Do you like the incidental music?
I'm waiting at every pause.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. I
Yeah.
love it.
And
I've also noticed the incidental music in the edits now as well. Makes my heart sing.
And what happened in '64, Fender changed the pickups from these black bottom, called black bottom because they had the material on the bottom of the pickup was a black fibrous material.
They make the rocking world go round.
Yeah. And then I can't remember what key it's in. And a few changes happened to the pickups, one of which they changed the wire and they had these grey bottoms on. And that is one of the principal differences between an early 60s Strat pickup sound and a later 60s Strat pickup sound. So what I think is true of the Big Dipper pickups is they use the plain enamel wire.
Right.
I don't know about the magnets. They're underwound a bit because he likes that.
Yeah.
And the idea is you get a bigger, they're called Big Dippers because you get a
Biggest scoop.
scoop of mid drop off, especially in the 2 and 4,
That would make sense.
4 positions, which is kind of hilarious with John Mayer because what does he love? Two Rocks, Dumbles, very, very mid-heavy amps, clons and tube screamers, very, very mid-heavy pedals. So you've got this thing going on, but it does enable him in a way to get that clean tone that he's become so famous for, and rightly so. So that is what's interesting about the Big Dipper pickups. What are they? Should we be totally reductive and say slightly underwound Texas Specials?
Yes. That's exactly what they are.
They may well have different magnets, I don't know. So that's my opinion. I don't know it to be true. This guitar does sound really cool.
I love that. It's still my favourite Strat. Someone's asking me to hold it because they think it matches.
Cypress mica. There weren't very many of those made. Interestingly enough, I met John that year. Oh, it's not here. And we photographed him for Guitarist magazine, and very gracious and lovely he was too. So yeah, I think that's what it is. Let's see what the chat's saying. Oshino Grady says, "Hey Mick, do you think the mystique of pre-CBS Strats has dwindled since you borrowed the 61? Love TPS guys never stop." No, it's done the opposite, Oshin. It's confirmed that I flipping love pre-CBS Strats.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. Anyway. Let's see. Jeffrey Atakora says, "Hello fellas, I heard you say you have a store in Delaware. Well, I currently live and gig in Delaware." No, we don't have a store in Delaware. That pedal shop in the US has a distribution centre in Delaware, I think is the way it goes. There's 4 dotted across the United States. We don't own them, okay? It's done for us by somebody else. And we get a small percentage. But yeah, that's how that works. Most companies in the US registered in Delaware, aren't they?
Lots of them, because there's no outgoing sales tax from Delaware. You've got to pay, something called Nexus, and it's so boring. I've almost put myself to sleep just the mentioning of the word. But anyway.
Yeah. Genesis Pickups makes brilliant exact replicas, says Jake Loosemore. Hi Jake. But to be honest, Big Dippers are disappointing. Yeah, I don't know. Everyone's got their own.
Depends what you're pairing with.
Yeah,
all that stuff.
It does. Having put so many pickups in my Strat, and I don't know, it's such a personal thing about how you play. They're okay. I mean, they're a modern production pickup.
I love this guitar.
They're fine. It sounds alright, that guitar. Let's see. Anyone else coming? No more information coming in. No more information coming in. So hopefully I didn't say anything too wrong about John's pickups. Yeah. Interestingly, my new Strat, my new custom shop Strat, has got Texas specials in.
Currently, okay.
And I'm looking forward to changing them as soon as I can, because I'm not a massive fan, if I'm honest. That was a reimagining of the harmony in Girl from Ipanema. Yeah, so this has got Texas specials. I'm looking forward to changing them, because I'm not a huge fan, if I'm honest. Why on earth did you buy that guitar then? Because of the neck. Vlog upcoming. The boy from Manly Bay.
This is beautiful.
It plays better than the flipping gold one at the moment, that's for sure. Again, more upcoming. Oh dear. Airfire. Ed, hello mate. He says, recording of my first song continues this week. Have you got any advice to keeping time during the second guitar overdub?
Yeah, the first one has to be in time.
Yeah, play something less complicated.
So play the first one along to a metronome or something, make sure the first one's in time, and then you'll be able to get the second ones in time.
Yeah.
If the first one isn't in time, it's going to be almost impossible.
If I'm struggling and I'm doing stuff like that, I always have the click pretty loud.
Yep.
And then there's the trade-off between how much feel you've got, because I always play slightly behind. But if you need the two parts to be in time, then they've got to be in time.
You got to have something to put it to.
If it's not a complex part, the other thing you could do is sing it while you're playing it. That might help.
Yeah. Yeah, difficult. But yeah, get the first one in time.
Yeah.
You'll be golden.
And use the click in the recording software if that would help.
Yeah.
Ian Glencross. Hello, Ian.
Hey, Ian.
I just scored a new Wampler gearbox from Pedal Empire. No question, just thankful to you guys, Matt and Brian.
Ah, very nice.
Cool, man. Hope you like it. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Oshin Cook says, I love the acoustic series and the clean show. As someone who plays mostly acoustic, I often find myself compromising when building a board. How would you approach an acoustic build board differently? Board build.
So it all depends on the pickups that you've got. It depends on how you are amplifying, whether you're going straight to the desk or whether you've got an acoustic amplifier, and what you're trying to achieve with the acoustic tone. Do you want any gain stages there? Do you want to be able to add chorus and reverb, or are you simply after a really great acoustic tone and be able to control your volume? I mean, I'm doing an acoustic specific board, but it's going to be really simple because I just want a really great acoustic tone that I've got the ability to control the level of, so that, you know, when I step back off it and play electric, that it's sort of sorted.
Yeah, you want your acoustic guitar to do different things, don't you?
Indeed.
Unless you're John Butler or John Martin
Yeah.
or other Johns. If I just want the acoustic guitar to sound like an acoustic guitar, so no pedals, thanks very much. But if you've got more specific tonal needs and you want to, like I've heard lots of people, Ben Howard, the aforementioned John Butler, you know, plug into electric guitar amps, John Martin again, let's say him, and get some really otherworldly, weirdy beardy tones, which is a great thing. And that's, you know, that's just a whole other world, isn't it? Has Catherine not gone home yet? What is she doing?
The word starts with W.
And ends in irk.
Rhymes with work.
What? Honestly,
She's a machine.
never stops. Literally never stops working,
She's a
apart from
machine.
to sleep and eat. Jeffrey Atakora says, if you buy a guitar and change everything about the guitar but the body, is it still the same guitar you bought? No, it's not. But I think if you swap the pickups in a guitar, it is still the same guitar.
If I swap the pickups in red, though, it's a different guitar.
Yeah, and you love the pickups in it.
I absolutely adore them.
I didn't buy that guitar for the pickups. I bought it for the neck.
Yep.
And
It's the
body,
most extraordinary neck.
and the fact that it is just a great Strat. I can tell it's a good Strat, but I know, having owned many Strats and played many more,
Yep.
that it will suit some other pickups nicely. So anyway, tuner and a really great preamp is all you need on an acoustic board, says Dustin Thiessen. Yeah, maybe. Actually, I did like that LR Baggs Dynamics pedal, which was a sort of mix between a very slight bit of overdrive and some compression.
That was really nice.
That was really cool. That was
nice.
really cool. Love your show, says Vidar Frostad from Norway. Thank you, Vidar. Thank you from Norway. Hello to Norway. Sam Webster, fellas, if presented the option between one big high-end digital multi-modeler, e.g. a Möbius, or three cheap analog mini pedals of your favourite modulations, similar footprint, what do you fancy?
I would rather have one good analog modulation than all the best digital modulations. It's the one area for me that there's still quite a lot of work to do to get right. The thing is, it depends on how important modulation is to your tone.
Exactly that.
For me, it is paramount. I use it all the time. I love it. My mistress, C1, phase 90, massive fundamentals in my playing. And, you know, once anyone that's played through a real great sounding CE1 or a really great sounding Phase 90, and then you think, oh, the new one's state of the art, going to sound really good. Unfortunately, they're just not there yet with it. So, yeah, that's just for me. It might be that you only need a bit of flange in one part of a song, and you might only need a bit of chorus in one part of a song. And in that sense, it makes complete sense to get somebody that will do those jobs in a small footprint.
Cover band, and throughout the night, you want to add a phaser, a flanger, a rotary speaker,
You've
tremolo. Yeah.
In that one part,
Yeah.
you know, and that's all you need your flanger for.
That's
then
where the multis...
my mistress isn't coming out for that,
Yeah.
you know.
That's where it makes absolute sense. But
Yeah.
as he says, if it's sacrosanct to you and you want the ultimate, then decent analog every day of the week. Depending on what the rest of your rig is, of course, because if you're then going into digital modelling amp anyway, then maybe it's less important than if you're using your beautifully high headroom, amazingly expensive tube amplifier. So, you know, a bit like hi-fi really, if you add an unbelievable amplifier to a rubbish pair of speakers and CD player, it's not doing you any favours. It's only, you know, you're only as good as as good. Everything in the chain has to work together, has to work in that ecosystem. I'm trying not to say better and worse, but I'm doing it. So it depends on the rest of your rig. But yeah, to cover a lot of ground quickly, value for money, portability, pedalboard real estate, easy to power, the multi makes perfect sense.
Yep.
But then what do you do when you want to upgrade your phaser?
Yeah.
Do you just add a phaser and keep the multi? That's the problem I have with multi effects. It's like, okay, the new this version 7.9 has come out and it's much better than 7.8.
Yeah.
Would you throw it away, get a whole new one?
Yep.
Yeah, that's why me and he are always into the highest possible quality analog single sound boxes you can get, because they're never going away.
Never.
Ever.
And that's modular. So one day I'll have the C1 on there, the next day I'll put a Dimension C or, you know, something on there, and you can change things as you feel fit. And
you can sell it on eBay or reverb.com in 5 years' time for more or less what you paid for it. And that's, you know, if you're interested in value over the long term, then that's important too.
Indeed.
Appreciate that, you know, finding a few £100 or a couple of £1,000, it seems frightening, but people look at me and Dan with all this ridiculous stuff we're surrounded in and go, God, you guys must be loaded. This is a sum total of 30 years of playing the guitar, plus being in the business, so people send you shit, right? So, no, we're not loaded, but we have spent a long time.
It's a lifetime of stuff.
Using that, getting rid of that, adding something new, doing that, and it takes ages. We didn't just fall into it, so it takes time.
Quick one, Cameron Kinch says, did Dan end up going to see Idols? How was it? I saw them a few years back. Great live band.
Tomorrow.
Seeing them tomorrow, Cameron. Seeing them tomorrow.
And he's making a vlog.
Better believe it.
Too cool. Ian Fan, hello Ian. What's the best option for that organ-like pitch shift sound? Micropog, Pog V3 or a Digitech Dropout? Strymon? I'd love presets, but it's not a must.
You can use the Micropog, but with the Micropog you've got to use some sort of phaser and like a... How did I used to do it?
What about the various Electro-Harmonix 9,
Yeah,
C and B9?
Yeah, they're all good. They'll all get you in the ballpark. I like the Pog because you can get other octavie sounds from it.
I had the original big box Pog. That was flipping brilliant.
It was incredible, that thing. Yeah, those sorts of... There you go. Those sorts of things are really, really nice for those faux organ sounds. But you can get, you know, Pog with a phaser and a bit of going into a bit of overdrive as well. Can sound really nice.
Yeah. You can do it a bit with rotary speaker actually. Rotary speaker.
Yeah.
You don't get the pitch shift bit. That was the great thing about the original Pog. I don't know if the later Pogs had it, but you could detune
Right.
some of the octaves.
I think the later version had that in there.
Yeah.
But the first one had a sonic quality to it that was just, man,
It was pretty good.
really great.
Good luck, Ian.
Yep.
Chiro says, thanks, a bit belatedly, for the acoustic build series. I know woodworking is not easy, but watching Mr. Kincaid, it feels more like he's caressing the guitar into being.
Man.
Does the beauty have a name yet, Daniel?
No, I haven't named it yet. I'm still in awe of just sitting down with it. Tell you what, man, the feel of that neck, that French polished neck, it's amazing. Oh, anyway, no, I haven't named it yet. I don't know. I did think about that the other day.
My acoustics don't have names.
No,
actually.
I don't feel like that guitar's.
Most of the electrics have names,
Yeah,
usually based on their colour.
right. There you go.
Yeah.
I'll call it.
You could call it kinky.
No, I couldn't do that. It's I could call it Princess. But no, I don't know. It's not named. Because I couldn't do anything that would, I don't know, I'm still so in awe of it
Yeah.
that, yeah, anyway.
Jonathan Jerusik. Hello, Jonathan. He says, have you ever thought about doing a rig around a genre battle? Examples, a rockabilly rig or a jazz rig?
Welcome to jazz. We talked about it very briefly and then we realised it's a really bad idea for us.
Yeah, because it's too reductive, right? So to suggest that this, I mean, you can leap straight into cliche, which would be entirely appropriate for us, and say, for rockabilly you need a Gretsch and a Bandmaster and a Space Echo, because that's what Brian Setzer used, I think, or something like that. Anyway, maybe a different amp. And there's no reason that you can't play any genre on any rig. So I suppose what you're asking is the classic sounds that we associate with those genres. So then it's sound like Cliff Gallup or whoever it is. And we've always steered away from those kind of videos, A, because everyone else on YouTube does it. Lots of other people on YouTube do it. B, we're not very good at it. And C, because it would be really good to understand the fundamentals of those sounds, but actually move on from it immediately.
Yeah.
And do your own thing and assimilate that knowledge, but use the foundation for your own approach to playing the guitar.
Yeah.
So, all of which sounds like a bit of a cop-out. It's not something we've ever really been drawn to.
No, I think to do that stuff really well, you've got to have such a deep understanding of that music. I mean, we thought we'd have a bit of fun in the early days, and we did a show on shoegaze tone, and man, we got ripped to shreds
Because we didn't.
It's like
we weren't respectful of it.
We were having some fun.
Yeah,
it was like, and
we were having fun, yeah.
we missed the mark in that this music means so much to a lot of people.
Nobody in that genre has any fun, I think.
So I think, we learn a lot from that. It's like, we will just
stick to what you know.
We'll do what we do. And because there's loads of other people out there that
watch Rabia and Matt on Anderton's YouTube channel. They do some fantastic sound likes, which cover some of that basic ground. But so much of it's in the playing because, you could use a tube screamer and a casino and a Fender amp for rockabilly, jazz, rock and roll, punk. Couldn't you?
Absolutely.
Depending on your approach and how you approach it. So yeah, that's what we think about that Chiro. Jonathan. Matthew Kennedy. Hey gents. Super bummed to hear Diamond Pedals is out of business. The Memory Lane Junior is my desert island delay, and they're getting really pricey. Do you have recommendations for any alternatives? Thanks.
Oh man, that's really tricky.
What is it? It's a great analog voice delay with tap tempo subdivisions.
I think so. Yeah, so we over the years we were massive and are still massive fans of diamond pedals. You know, for me, the diamond vibrato is one of the best modulation pedals ever made. But yeah, that thing. So the diamond memory lane was a super modded memory man.
Yeah.
With tap tempo and just a really brilliant thing. And then they did a second version, and then the memory lane junior. And they're just wonderful, wonderful things. And the artistry that went into creating those pedals is great. And it's sad that they are no more. I've been, their Facebook page is still up, their website's still active, but there's no, unless anyone knows differently, I haven't been able to see any statements or anything put out from Diamond. They've just ceased trading.
Okay, so my 3 favourite delay pedals that sit in that world.
Mm-hmm.
Jam Delay Llama.
Wonderful.
And if you want loads of features, look at the extreme version.
Yep.
So Jam Delay Llama, number 1. Number 2, Analog Man ARDX20 with Amazio controller.
Yeah, stunning pedal.
Utterly stunning analog delay. Probably mine and Dan's favourite analog delay if we take the Memory Man out of the equation.
Mm-hmm.
J-Rocket Clockwork Echo.
Yeah, awesome.
Really, really great modern take on that sound. Only thing that annoys me about it is no tone control on the repeats.
Yeah.
But all of those will offer you tap tempo, modulation, a fantastic analog delay sound, which is what that's good at.
Yeah. Yeah. I would also have a look at the Valbrook Space Time.
Oh yeah, nice.
Really, because the Memory Lane Junior is, it's they've put the sound of the Memory Lane into that smaller format, and it's the digital delay. The effect is voiced from them. Still a digital delay, but it's voiced by them. A similar thing to the Valbrook, but it's just, I think doing that properly. I've heard a handful of times when that's been really nailed, and the Memory Lane Junior is one, but it's the Valbrook Space Time is another one. It's just magic sounding thing.
Sorry, I am doing chat related stuff. It's I'm not just answering my text messages. It's relevant to this what we're doing. Tom Abate. Tom, you've chatted, but there's no questions, so hopefully we haven't missed you. Thank you. Mark Carey. Hello, Mark. Happy New Year. I love Dan's acoustic vids. Watched them back to back. Fantastic to watch a craftsman that makes the hard look easy.
Yeah.
Couldn't have said it better. Naganud. Morning, dudes. I never found a delay sound I love. My carbon copy got a bit boring for me, and the DD500 and Volante were overkill. Anything in between you would recommend?
Yeah, again, like I said before, the Valbrook Space Time I think is a really good one.
The last 4 delay pedals we mentioned.
Yeah.
Cos, what have you got there? Modulation, tap tempo. You can get into all the weirdy-beardy feedback stuff, self-oscillation.
But most importantly, there's a spectacular core tone.
Yeah.
Which the the MXR, the carbon copies have, and that's so important. All the functionality and everything is wonderful, but the reality is, if it doesn't have that spectacular core tone, it will end up being replaced by something else.
Yeah. I mean, if you've still got the DD500 and the Volante, or either of them, I know you say they're overkill, but if you've already got them, just, read the manual again and learn some of the features, because you can do subtle as you like or absolutely tripped out madness.
Yeah.
And I think the DD500 for a lot of people will be more challenging than the Volante in terms of the UI.
Yeah.
But if I can learn it and I can still remember it, so can you.
DD200 might be an option.
Yeah, DD200 is a great option.
Really,
does loads of
simpler,
stuff.
but it's
everything's on the top
fantastic
panel.
thing. Yeah.
Well, most stuff's on the top panel. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to say Boss DD200 or Valbrook Spacetime.
Yeah.
There
Nice.
you go. Jacob Bartelt. Hello, Jacob.
Hey, Jacob.
He says, "Hey guys, the heavy water boost got me thinking about boost pedals. What are y'all's favourites for the different situations of volume lift and more compression? Also, besides the Cali 76, favourite compressors."
Okay, so there are two compressors that I love at the moment. One is the Analog Man compressor with the mix control in it.
Bicomp?
It's not a bicomp. It's the
compressor.
It's the compressor, but there's a mix control in it. I think there's an attack knob on it as well. That's the compressor that's on my board at the moment. I love that. But also check out the new Empress compressor. It is fantastic. I love that thing. So they're my two favourite compressors.
My favourite compressor, apart from the Cali 76, is the
that.
Union Tube and Transistor Lab.
It goes.
Which is a take on the old Teletronix LA2A, kind of. It's not like it's about as far from a Dynacomp as you could possibly imagine.
Yeah.
In the compressor idiom. I like it after everything to use as a sort of post studio type compressor, just to add a bit of to everything. And
wonderful thing.
I love that because I don't like compressors.
Yep. That's very good.
I like studio compressors. I don't like guitar compressors.
And what was the other question?
Boosts
Oh, okay. So, Bad Bob Boost
by Analog Man.
by Analog Man. It just, it's so good. It just gives a bit of sizzle. The Heavy Water is a revelation. But yeah, the Analog Man, because it's still a full frequency boost, but it gives a sizzle and an edge to the note as well, which is just glorious.
I too am a fan of the Bad Bob Boost. I've got one built into one of Analog's Man OD9 mods, and that works great.
Yeah.
But subject to one caveat, I'm never using another boost pedal again apart from the Thorpe Heavy Water. And the caveat is it is insanely loud, even at minimum volume.
Right.
So if you've got a real clean headroom amp, you're going to be into extra volume on some significant magnitude straight away, even at set minimum.
Right.
But if you run your amps on the edge, that is the magic bit, because it just pushes the amp, and it's like,
Yeah. It's that clean feedback. That was truly amazing.
yeah, it wasn't just coming from the Heavy Water, but it certainly helped. So yeah, that's what we would say, Jacob. If you want something on more of a budget, the TC Spark is blinking brilliant.
Yeah. It's,
They do two versions. I don't know if they still do two versions. They always did do two versions. One with 4 knobs on it, which is the bigger format one, and the Mini, which has got some really cool little features on it, a couple of dip switches. That's great. And for boosters, hard also to look past exotic effects. EP Booster we know, but they do a bunch of others, and they've just, well, I say just, probably 18 months ago now, maybe even more, brought out a bunch of other boosts, and I think Exotic does boost as well as anybody out there.
but if you're really interested in that, have a look at the new Source Audio,
Oh, the Zeo.
the Zeo.
Yeah, that
Man
looks
alive.
really, really cool.
It's amazing.
Yeah, actually that goes to the second top of the list behind the Heavy Water
Yeah.
for me. More features than the Heavy Water, but looks really, really fantastic feature set. All analog, loads of different things. Source Audio Zeo, there you go.
There you go.
There you go. Tree of Life, no question. a very generous super chat. So
Thank you, mate.
if we've missed you, I apologise. We will check with BV, who hasn't sent me anything, and he normally tells me. He has said that Mr. Dumble was 77, so
Oh, okay.
actually he wasn't that old. Yeah, born in 1945. Wow. May he rest in peace. Medieval cookery with R-pad.
Hey, buddy.
Smoke us a squirrel, R-pad. He says, hey, Legends, what about the hypergravity? Hypergravity, what's that? Is that a Keeley thing?
I should know this.
Compressor. It is a TC electronic compressor.
There you go.
3 modes. Okay, so it's a do-it-all compressor with 3 modes, which are multi-band compressor. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, right.
You don't see that very much. Multi-band compression is where it compresses different parts of the frequency spectrum differently. It's super useful in a lot of broadcast post-production, and I guess would be useful on guitar. It has vintage mode for classic stomp box compression, which presumably is our Ross and Dynacomp style compression, and it is tone print enabled, so you can load in your own settings. Yeah, certainly looks good. I don't know about the price point on that, but whatever Keeley does is also worth a look in that world. Keeley's compressors are...
the Keeley fallout compressor. Far out, man.
Yeah.
That's so good. When we were in America and we did that day where we was working in the guitar store, what was that?
Rift City.
At Rift City. And this young kid come in, is like, I really want to try a compressor. And so I grabbed the Keeley, the 4-knob compressor, and we just plugged it in, and I couldn't get a bad sound out of that thing. You know, and I think it was a wonderful introduction to guitar compression, because you could get everything from that super squishy thing to the production type compression, but you couldn't make it sound bad.
Right
really
across.
great.
Back to TC just for a second. For the price point and the feature set, they're usually impossible to beat.
Yeah.
They make really great stuff, does TC. And you say Satyram Sensio 15-inch speakers. Thanks for keeping the faith. I've just done a Google search for those and I can't find anything that comes back. So don't know what they are. Apologies. No doubt you like them. Good. Right. We've gone way over, Dan.
This guitar's amazing.
Yes, and that is us.
That's really lovely.
Ian Glencross says, are we going for the longest VCQ ever?
I believe so.
Desert Island Boost is the Kingsley Page, says McSoapy.
Kingsley Page. Far out.
Yeah.
So good. Also, the Effectrode
Keeley Katana, Ian Glencross, thank you. Boost.
Yes.
For you, Jacob. Keeley Katana is doing some interesting special editions on that Katana Boost at the moment as well.
If you want to check out something really cool, check out the Effectrode Fire Bottle. That's also mounted onto my board at the moment.
Nice.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Matt Gilbert says the Union Tube and Transistor is almost like a studio limiter.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's kind of a bit like the Teletronix LA2A.
Get a bit of this boost in here. Go on, then. Go on. There you go. Look at that.
We acquired a little gift for Dan.
Now, that is not a full frequency booster. What? Oh, man, so good.
We'll leave with Iman Idiot, who says, a Tele or a Strat for a first high-end Fender. All together, Dan? Ready?
Yep.
1, 2, 3, Strat. There you go. Right, play us out there, mate.
Okay, I'll do.
Thanks so much for being with us today. This production was brought to you by TPS Inc. With big thanks to all our preferred retailers, please check out our merch store at TPS, thatpedalshowstore.com. If you would like to buy pedals in the United States, please check out thatpedalshop.com. In the meantime, you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. Remember to keep both feet on the wheel if you're driving. Okay, everybody, good night.